now. Holy shit, folks.
I always remind people, I am suspended for life for minor hockey.
It's my duty to please the booty.
Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car holding it the whole time?
Yep.
Phil only drinks Coke. He doesn't drink water. I'll fucking quit.
Fugazis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 431 of Spittin Chicles, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. Gang, trading season is over. Great couple days. Playoffs just around the corner. Awesome time of year. Let's check in with the fellas here with Reps up. Paul, Biz Nasty, Bissonette. What's shaking with you, big guy?
First out of the gate, Biz. Boys, I'm a little tired, but I'm gonna find my energy for this one. I've had quite the week. I did 2 TNT broadcasts. Ended up going to Canada. Did the Sportsnet trade deadline. Ended up seeing J. Cole and then Drake in back-to-back days. 2 of the biggest rappers on the planet. Did you end up hearing that story that Army told when we went out to dinner?
That was so funny because I actually, at the beginning, I was like, he was waving at Army? Like, I don't know why I didn't think it might have been somebody behind him, but that's just classic.
Army's eyes lit up, and he was giving it a double wave, and I turned around. Drake was smiling just as hard back at him, but with the guy behind him. So then I turned around and started waving at Drake, and as soon as I started, Drake was like, who the fuck are these losers waving at me? And then obviously the guy in the corner got up and went and walked over. So we got pigeon-tossed, ate our meals underneath the table the rest of the time. And
I was going to say, Drake was probably like, get these guys out of this restaurant.
It was a famous Italian place. I think he's rapped about it a few times, called Soto. So obviously ever since he started rapping about it, they've jacked the prices up and it's been even busier. But all in all, a great week of hockey. Of course, the trade deadline. And it was great to get back to Canada over to Sportsnet and see some familiar faces. David Amber, one of the best bus drivers in the business. Jen Botterill, who I've worked with TNT, she was there for the deadline. Anson Carter, Kevin Bieksa, who's turned into a Hockey Night in Canada star. He's not far. What's that? Getsy was there too. Yeah, he's jumping into the media game too. We were talking about his pet goats on the broadcast. He's got four baby pet goats. Or sorry, miniature goats, not babies. They're miniature goats.
I saw that video, and I saw his son interviewing people. What a natural that kid is. Keep him away from Mike Harrington in Buffalo. But if for anyone who doesn't know what happened, you can go check my Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, you haven't seen this video. I guess the video is actually a year old, but this little kid, I don't know if it's a girl or boy, I can't really tell, just is like nervous to go into the scrum of a bunch of beat reporters. I guess it's wrist aligned and being asked a question, and then he just looks at the kid and just shoos him away like the biggest asshole I've ever seen. So just an amazingly scumbag move. But Biz, I wanted to ask you, first I wanted to bring up Getzlaff's son, who reminded me so much of him, not just the way he looks, but how he was interviewing Troy Terry, and he said something about like who makes fun. He was like, your dad made fun of me the most, and now I guess you're carrying the torch, because the kid was just chirping him.
Just a bully.
But I had to ask you,
son.
I had a couple people. Did you say early on in the trade deadline special that Don Waddell needed a key bump?
Yeah, I definitely said that he needed a key bump.
It was, yeah. Not a keep, but just a bump.
That is unbelievable.
Well, at that point, he'd only dealt for Puljujarvi. But we'll get to Carolina later. I'm really happy that Gostisbehere ended up going over there. He's done a heck of a job for the Coyotes the last year and a half. Just a silky offensive defenseman. Fuck, he's already bolstered their power play. That stunk. Let's not get into hockey talk quite yet. Looking forward to this. I got a week off of the broadcast, so I'm actually going on a 47-mile hike. That's going to probably take 12 to 14 hours. Yeah, I'm looking forward to challenging the mind and the body. Definitely excited to put the phone away and get some exercise and get away from the technology and clear the mind.
Did you say 12 hours, Biz?
Yeah, it'll probably take about 12 to 14 hours, yeah.
Jesus, that would take me 2 years to do.
No,
46 miles?
With your weight, you'd be buzzing through that thing. What are you, $160 right now?
$165.
G could go walk 47 miles this week?
No chance.
He couldn't do 7 miles.
It's all what's between the ears, G.
Yeah,
I think you could do it.
We've been doing this 7 years, dude. You know what's in between his head.
Make sure you bring some towels to wipe your hands off if you have to piss, Biz. Run into that guy again. Holy shit. The fucking piss shamer.
Speaking of that, so some very opinionated people online, the biggest group of losers are the ones who play the urinal game. So the ones who say, oh, you walked in, there was 3 urinals. The guy was on the right, and you chose the middle urinal. And it's like, shut the fuck up, man. And they're like, I'm staring at his horn. And they have the dividers in between the urinals anyway.
I
know what I'm saying?
The vast majority, though, was almost shocked you didn't dumb him. Like, I think you were getting like 93% backing in terms of the online
I'm up for
community.
a Nobel Peace Prize after not caving the guy's face in.
I had a text from a listener, a buddy of mine, who said, I cannot believe he didn't dumb him. I'm like, I think he came pretty close. He was just blatantly throwing water in the guy's face at one point.
That's why I have to go on these 47-mile hikes so I don't fucking snap on civilians who try to shame me for my fucking pissing antics.
And I also,
anyway,
I missed a quote that I think Foles, maybe not Foles, somebody said, I missed you saying it when you were describing the story of people have become way too comfortable telling strangers what to do. That was a phenomenal quote. Yeah. So I just think that the 47-mile hike shouldn't lead to any shenanigans, but I guess you never know with some people being upset at certain things, right?
I tell you what, buddy. But just going back to Toronto too, and going back to Sportsnet, just want to thank the entire staff. Not only, why are you laughing?
Because you just said, I'll tell you what, and then you didn't tell me anything.
I always say that. We did that ECHL video with Nicky Clicky and KB. And then KB was like, I'll tell you what. And I was like, what? And he's like, nothing. You fucking hockey players always say that, you dummies. Well, I use it as almost a crutch. But going back to Toronto, it was great seeing everybody. Saw Elliot Friedman. They didn't really have much or many big trades to announce. There was a few of the fourth line grinders and the glue guys that were traded. But just want to thank him too. Like, he's been in the industry quite a while, and especially early in my media career, I've really leaned on him for advice and stuff like that. So I just appreciate all those guys over at Sportsnet. So thank you once again.
Great people up there, man.
Great people. I
like working there a lot. It was me and Marek. I think it was every Monday night. I was up there for a season. Army was there most of the time. Other guys were in and out. Doug McLean, he's a legend. But those people are good people, and they had a lot to do with me getting involved and wanting to do this as well.
Yeah, so I got to actually see a bunch of my old friends too. Anthony Stewart was there. I won a gold medal with him at the under-18s. He was a beast back then. So was Getzlav. I've talked about it before on the podcast. He was the MVP of that tournament. I don't know what he was ranked going into the draft, but that definitely helped boost him up. I want to say he went 15th overall to the Ducks that year, and that completely changed the trajectory of their franchise because Perry ended up going later that first round too. What was the other thing? Oh, and I got to have a special moment with a guy I've also mentioned on the podcast, Mike Futa, who I don't know how the fuck this guy doesn't have a job in some form of management at the National Hockey League level. He worked with LA in player development. He was the assistant GM there at one point and helped them win 2 Stanley Cups. But that was, he brought me onto the under-17 team for Team Ontario when I played and represented. At that time, under-17, they broke up the provinces because obviously Canada's a wagon. And then we had to play provinces against the whole country of the United States and still waxed them. And then in my junior career, my last year, traded for me in Owen Sound. That was the story he ended up telling on the broadcast, how I was like in his GM room and his parents were actually in there at the time. He tells a story that I was still in my gear, where I walked over, I still had my gear on, and I was begging him to trade for me to get me out of Saginaw because they had a wagon of a team. And then to go even further when I couldn't get a deal and I ended up getting snipped from Portland in the American Hockey League. He reached out to Dean Lombardi and said, hey, I think we could add him to the AHL team to give us a little toughness and maybe a little spice in the locker room. And I never forget, he called me back and he says, hey, you can come on board, but Dean says stay the fuck off of Twitter. And that's when I went. That's when I took a couple of years off. No, RA, I went pretty silent for like 2 or 3 years.
That was the original Zero Dark 30.
That's what. Exactly. So
hey, I'd never heard the story. I'd never heard that. You might have told me before. I don't remember hearing how you went into there after the game when Saginaw played. And then what's cool is like there was legit tampering, I guess.
It was
100%, which was hilarious. And then also the fact that when he got you the gig, when we were hanging out that year in Boston, when you were playing for Manchester, I mean, that led to a Calder Cup for you. So that guy, I could tell, like, means a lot to you. It's pretty cool.
Oh, he saved me, man. I appreciate him. I love him, and it was a good rip. So that's pretty much all I got to report. It was a great week of following it all. I got to see some great hockey games. We did the broadcast Tampa Bay, Carolina. We'll do that in a bit. RA, I guess throw it over to the other guys and see what the hell they've been up to.
Yeah, so we're talking. He already talked about Ryan Whitney. What have you been up to? What you do all weekend? Anything fun? Golf?
Not much. Just a chill weekend. I'd been away for about, I think it was 16 days. So it was nice to get home. Granted, I'm living in a construction site, but it's still good to be back.
A swamp.
I went on, let me see. I don't want to mess up the name. Rupper's show. That's Hockey Talk. It's a live show. I think they do it on Wednesdays. It was a blast. It was with two guys, Nick Moraldo and Gump Cathcart. They're both on McAfee's show. Yeah. Both big hockey fans, but I had a blast. We were just kind of talking about the league, telling some old stories. It was a lot of fun. I owed Rupper. He'd been asking me for about 2 months. I kept pushing him off, so I was glad to join his show. They do a good job, and he told me a hilarious story I'd never heard. He asked me if I was on the team when this happened. I guess he wasn't on the Penguins, neither was I, but he'd been told the story that, so like, Biz, when you flew with Pittsburgh or most teams, you kind of drive right to like the hangar and the runway and you just get on the plane. Yep. And when they landed one time, they end up starting your car so they're not cold when you get back to town and stuff. And I guess one time Gino just hopped in his Porsche and just started ripping it down the runway. So he's going like 120 miles an hour on the runway. I'd never heard that. I don't even know if it's necessarily true, but I was dying laughing at that. And then in the most shocking thing said in the 45, 50 minutes we did this, I don't remember if it was Nick or the other guy. They're like, so Whit, talk about, when R.A. and Grinelli started Spittin Chicles and you hopped on. I go, whoa, what the fuck did you just say? You think those two started? No, it was me and R.A. and Grinelli. I told him the story, how it was just the ultimate timing in life, but I was almost getting pigeon-tossed into just like the guy that like begged them to let me on their show. So I took a little offense to that one.
Set him straight.
Exactly. But what else? No, chilling this week.
Do you watch a lot of
hanging out,
hockey?
got really nothing planned. Next week, shooting down to Naples for 2 nights. Gonna play a little golf. And actually, with the help of Game Time, the amazing way to get tickets, I just purchased some tickets to the Masters. Friday, April 7th, the second round. I will be there. I've been there once, and I've wanted to get back ever since, so I cannot wait. I'll be experiencing the second round at Augusta National. Might even try to sneak in some Pink Whitney nips. They take your phone away, so no phones allowed. But I don't see anything on the ticket about no nips allowed. Unless it, means women pulling up their shirt and showing Jordan Spieth their titties.
Oh, yeah, they won't allow cell phones, but they'll fucking have tits out for the boys at Augusta?
You get kicked out if you run on the grounds of Augusta National, so. But I can't wait. I'll hopefully have some funny stories from that weekend.
Have we talked about the urban legend? It might be a rumor. If you find a weed on the course, they'll give you $100 cash.
I have heard that too. I don't know if it's true. I might just bring a weed with me and then fucking plant it and be like, yo, look what I found.
I like one
Give
weed,
me my
please.
money, bitch. But I do remember everything's like $3 there. Beers are like $4.50. It's so old school. It's like kind of taking a step back in time. I know my boy Minahan might be there. I think he mentioned to me in Arizona he's going. He's been a bunch of times, I think, with his brother. So hopefully he's there during that second round Friday day. But I'm all jacked up, dude. I'm all jacked up.
Was last year's winner his meal thing with the live guys meet me at the 9th at 9 p.m.?
No, I think so. That's Scheffler. I think that was a joke. I'm guessing.
Okay, but it was in fact printed. It was real. It wasn't dubbed over.
No, because the menu comes out like Monday of Masters Week. I think the dinner's Tuesday night. That was just a meme. You got
getting sucked into the online rumors. Wayne's going. He's doing the TNT broadcast and then flying right over there. So maybe you'll bump into him.
He's going Thursday or Friday.
I bet he's there for both days, and then if Dustin Johnson makes the cut, he'll probably stick around.
Yep. So it should be interesting. All those live guys there. I can't wait though. I mean, I'm just like the Masters. It's my favorite weekend of the year. I think sports wise, it is the number one thing for me every year. Stanley Cup playoffs first round, a close, maybe a 1B, but Augusta National and that 4 days in April is what I live for. Before we go any further, you know what I'm here to talk to you about. That's right, Pink Whitney by New Amsterdam Vodka, our presenting sponsor. One of the reasons this pod even exists. New Amsterdam Vodka gave us the love, became our guys, and what came from it? The greatest pink lemonade flavored vodka, and the first to ever be created. Pink Whitney is where it's at. I've mentioned on the ski hill, on the beach, on the golf course, maybe even surfing. Maybe even surfing if you want to carry some nips out in your bathing suit. Also, it's birdie juice. We've talked about that. Golf related. I'm a golf nut. I'm a golf junkie. We have sandbaggers where whenever there's a birdie, not that often, but whenever there is one, we crush Pink Whitney. And what am I going to do? I've mentioned I'm going to get Pink Whitney nips into Augusta National Golf Club for the second round this year, 2023. Can you imagine a beautiful little shot of a Pink Whitney nip right at Amen's corner? Well, the 12th hole at Augusta. It's the most beautiful piece of property maybe in the world. And if I could get just some sort of image, I know no phones allowed, but who knows? Who knows how we're going to get it done? Pink Whitney, Amen's corner, birdie juice. Maybe even Jordan Spieth will hammer one if he birdies 13 right after 12. You never know. Some guys like to loosen up on the course. That's why it's the birdie juice. Go to where you get your liquor and get Pink Whitney. We got big bottles. We got small bottles. We got little nips. We got anything that you could put your mind to making a drink with vodka. Start with Pink Whitney. New Amsterdam Vodka, Pink Whitney, our presenting sponsor, and the GOAT.
I know you got construction going on at your place too, Whit. Next door, I'm renting this place out until my place is done being renovated. This guy's been drilling for 3 weeks straight. It's a 1,200 square foot apartment. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there. I can't even hear myself think right now because this thing is just going nonstop all day long. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I walked over finally today. I said, buddy, can you give me at least a couple hours during the podcast? He basically told me to go fuck myself.
He's like, the guy who told me to
wash my. It was actually the guy who told me to wash my hands. He is just ruining my life.
It's going to be a hole in the desert soon, that guy.
Yeah.
Gee, what's going on, buddy? Congratulations. You closed on your apartment since our last episode. Nice job, Al.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's kind of crazy weekend for me as well. I spent the weekend moving into Hoboken. New place here is looking awesome. I even got myself a Rutgers Scarlet Knight hockey jersey to feel a little at home here in the great state of New Jersey. But the kicker to all this, there's a golf simulator like 2 blocks down from my apartment. The lessons start next month. Early April, the lessons start. The goal is to be breaking 100 by midsummer. Consistently breaking 100 by midsummer.
And that
so I don't want to say I'm coming
playing
for you,
by
Biz.
the rules. No mulligans. If you hit it out of bounds, re-teeing, like not just like
Ryan Whitney
I
golf.
shot 98, but
There's not a chicken dick's chance you're breaking 100.
I was
going to
say, I don't even know
way.
if you could break 120, but have you played golf?
Have I played golf? I've absolutely played golf. I've gone golfing with Biz before in Kelowna. I told him I was a great golfer, and then about 2 or 3 holes in, Biz looked at me and he's like, I thought you could fucking golf. So I wasn't great then, but boys, I'm mind on the prize here, eyes on the goal. I think I can be breaking 100 by midsummer, and I'm willing to place a bet on it.
I think it's eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
But,
You sound like me
I
with that
almost would
drill
be
in my
willing to bet.
brain.
I would almost be willing to bet that steady lessons, steady playing, come May 2024, so over a year from now, I still don't think you could beat Biz.
I will. I don't know if I can beat Biz, but I would say I'll get the Pink Whitney golf tattoo, the new logo that we just created. I will get that tattooed somewhere on my body if I cannot in 1 year consistently break. I'll golf 3 rounds with you, Whit. If I don't consistently break 100 in the 3 rounds, I will get the Pink Whitney golf logo tattooed somewhere on my body.
You're done.
On
You
your
might as well do
forehead.
it now.
You'd get that anyways, though, G.
He already has it. He just hasn't told us.
What, did you watch the Arnold Palmer at all?
Yeah, it was a great event. Great event. I've played down at Bay Hill. It's a cool place. Actually, one time, for people who don't know about Arnold Palmer as well, I know this is a hockey podcast, but let me tell you, this guy changed the game for athletes, basically creating money and income for themselves off course, off field, off ice. I mean, he also started the Golf Channel. There's a million different things about Arnold Palmer, a true legend in life. And one time we were down there, he was hanging around. and he was sitting behind the 6th green on the 7th tee when we were all coming through. And one of our buddies had like a 3-foot putt, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, give it to him for Christ's sake," or something like that. We were like, "Oh, Arnold Palmer's telling us we got to give it to you. We have to."
Shut the fuck up,
wow.
Arnold.
Yeah, fuck you, Arnie.
Oh,
so
so you
sure
cheated.
enough, behind the 7th green is a
I'll
bathroom.
Barker your ass, bitch.
He would have pumped me just like Bob beat up Happy. But behind the 7th green is a bathroom, and one of our buddies, Bunzo, he took the grossest smelling shit that a human being has ever taken in that bathroom, and I'm going to say no less than 5 minutes later, Arnie kind of drove up the 7th hole, which was a par 3, and then he walked in the bathroom. I was like, "Oh, no. And he fucking passed away about 4 days later. So I think, like, we kind of say Brendan killed him.
Wow. That's dark.
Like, his shit killed him.
That got dark. I was
I
just gonna
don't
ask
even
you
want to
that.
laugh
Holy
right
shit.
now, but that's just
I
like,
know,
that's
guys.
fucked up, man.
I know, man.
That's fucked
Crazy.
up.
What,
Crazy.
You know, I'll give you one guess who I had going down the stretch run of that journey yesterday.
English?
Yep, 75-1, tied on 17. And what's his name? The guy wanted to hit that nice birdie, and that was it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So that would have paid. Did you have a hundo on it?
A little more than that.
Oh, that's a 15G payday?
Yeah.
Fuck, all right. That's all right. We'll get him in the playoffs.
Shit happens,
Friday,
baby.
also, I'll say this before we get into what's happened this past week. Friday and Saturday, myself, Dave Portnoy, Big Cat, Jersey Jerry, I think, we're going to be doing a little gambling. So Massachusetts, if you're a Massachusetts native, Friday, March 10th, this Friday, it's live, baby. All right, maybe we'll get you to swing down, and you can gamble on the Barstool Sportsbook app starting Friday in Massachusetts. So we got the Players' Championship, we got college basketball, hockey, so it should be fun.
I'm sorry, where are you going to be watching from? Did you say played field? I know that.
I don't know, actually.
Okay.
I haven't been told. I don't know.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Wait, so I never finished that, though. We never finished that. Do we have a deal on the Pink Whitney tattoo? And if I can consistently break 100, you have to fly me anywhere I want to play golf.
No, we don't have a deal.
Okay.
Fucking super agent
that's
over here.
that's a no-win for me. I don't care if you have a tattoo on your body.
That's true. Just thought you were a gambling man. I thought you liked to have a little fun. Guess not.
When I have the ability to win something, I'm down to gamble. Unfortunately, I have no money left.
You got a couple other things going on. The Raleigh tailgate video that's coming out, Wednesday?
Yeah, so we had the ASU locker room video come
That
out
was
this
great,
past
dude.
week.
I like that.
Thank you. That's something where me and Merles have been talking about for a while. We want to start doing with schools all around North America. And yeah, we on Wednesday we have the tailgate video coming out. Me and Merles did a little Merles on the street buzzing around the Carolina Hurricanes tailgate, and it was awesome, man. Merles got some hilarious stuff. We got talked to a bunch of like shit-faced Carolina Hurricanes fans. So that comes out Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the YouTube channel.
Nice. Looking forward to it. Biz, back to you about the TV stuff. It was great to see you and Ami on the same panel there, but any pee-pee wax? You might have been straddling that line a little bit when you first got on. I didn't know if you might have called
What do
in
you
the
mean, with
principal's
the
office.
key bump comment? I think it
is that what
flew
you
under
said?
the radar. I never heard anything about it. Yeah.
I think Bieksa might have caught it and not said that, but I almost, my head snapped too. I goes, he did not just say that. My wife was pissing her pants. She's like, is he going to get in trouble for that? I was like, no, look at him, little pee-pee
He's
whack in
kind
the office.
of
It'll be
reached the
good.
point where, like,
It's like
what are you
Portnoy.
going to say to him? Like, he's become the guy where it's like, you don't know what he's going to say. He brings in audiences. I hate to pump your tires right to your face, Biz. I'd rather do it when you can't hear me. But, like, you're almost untouchable, I'd say.
No, don't say that. Fuck off.
Well, I watched The Untouchables last night. Great movie. Kevin Costner, Robert De Niro back in the 80s about chasing down, what was the mobster's name? Al Capone. And ironically enough, I shouldn't have said it because one of the G-men, one of the FBI agent chasing down Capone, they murder his ass in this elevator, and then he writes touchable in blood. So I guess you aren't untouchable. I'll take it back.
Jesus. That's how it's going to go down?
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
I think this jackhammer guy is going to bring me down. Guys, if I'm awful this podcast, like most podcasts, it's because I can't even hear myself think. That's brutal. This is the worst setting. I want to almost fucking yell at this. Give me one sec.
Yeah. Dude, I would do anything right now to have a cameraman following him.
Fuck off! Take a fucking break!
Oh, shit.
Biz is
This
the
has
last
been going
guy.
on all fucking day, man. For fucking 3 weeks.
What are they drilling, dude?
I walked in there, they're fucking drilling legit to China. It's a 1,200 square foot apartment they've been drilling for 3 fucking weeks. I'm about to fucking go over there and knock somebody out.
I could tell the wires aren't touching, but they're very close right now. Well, if you do end up going over and beating the shit out of him, getting arrested, we'll hold down the fort this epi.
Okay, okay. All right. Went from untouchable to fucking into clink. God.
Isn't that just like a
for
walk?
2 weeks.
I'm like dash 3, first 3 shifts right now, just like when McDavid ended my career.
Wait, isn't that just like a whoop? Brings a knife to a gunfight.
What a great movie, Jesus.
Yeah, good shit, Brian De Palma, awesome director.
All right, folks, before we go any further, we need to talk about Game Time. Created by fans for the fans, Game Time is a new ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. And they guarantee the lowest price. That's right. They cracked the code on how to score deals on last-minute tickets. It's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. As you know, I'll be going to the Masters second round Friday, April 7th. Why am I able to do that? Because of Game Time, an absolute hookup that'll have me walking the grounds of Augusta National Golf Club, watching the greatest golfers in the world play the most beautiful course I've ever seen. That's because of Game Time. And if anyone wants to go to any event, sporting, concert, whatever they want to do, Game Time will get you there. They've helped me numerous times. The purchase process takes just 2 taps and 10 seconds. And once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone. No printer needed. The app also allows you to easily share tickets with friends via text so you can get into the games seamlessly. Skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. That's CHICLETS for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time.
All right, we had to take a little time out for technical difficulties. Biz, how you doing? You look a little more relaxed than you were a couple minutes ago. We got to tell the folks
Guys,
what's going
I
on
don't
here.
remember one thing we talked about in that first 30 minutes. That was the worst experience of my life. That jackhammer was going like fucking crazy. I sent you the video. I don't know what they must be mining for Bitcoin over there. It's not that far of a stretch to say I'd rather walk in on my brother-in-law thumping my sister again rather than deal with what I dealt with in that first 30 minutes. And had to have been forced to watch the entire sesh. And then
different kind of jackhammer.
It was like watching a live meltdown. Like I guess that people.
I was having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah,
I couldn't
do we
hear
have
myself
the video,
think.
G, when he's like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, yeah, we got it. We got it all.
Oh my God. But I tell you what, man, we could talk about hockey. I don't give a flying fuck. Whatever I say the rest of the podcast, whatever comes out of my mouth, do not listen to me. I'm a moron. I had to go do my breathing exercises again. Yeah, I'm a psycho. Let's roll.
Join the fucking club, buddy. Obviously, trade deadline was Friday. Actually, this is a crazy stat. I think I might have sent it to you guys last week. As of last Thursday afternoon, there had been 41 trades in the 2 weeks leading up to the deadline. Over the past 10 years, the previous max was just 20. So they doubled the amounts of trades that had been in the last previous years. 41 trades, that's just going into Friday. So,
well, ironically enough,
yeah.
I've always said it made no sense to me, and I understand teams wait and they kind of figure out what we need, and it takes a while with other teams bidding for players, but the sooner you get it done, the better. It's just more time with the guy on the roster. So it kind of makes sense that the league seems to be switching a little bit. And who do we have to thank? Hitman Lou. Lou started it. The Horvat party began while we were recording a few weeks back, and then the league just kind of seemed to follow. So I think that'll be the future as well, as it's going to start happening more and more, and poor James Duthie and Amber and all those guys at Sportsnet and TSN will continue to just have to create content.
I think there was enough for like to at least make the day somewhat exciting, like adding like a lot of glue guys, and finally like the teams like Pittsburgh. I guess they did minimal shit, but they did shit.
We'll get to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia in a little bit. That state is in a depressing
I feel bad for Chuck Fletcher. That video
Chuck
of him.
Fletcher, let's save it. He's a great guy, and I understand the hate, but that state is a disaster.
Yeah, like at the town hall meeting, like give it a to them for them to schedule it the next day though.
I know.
Like what the fuck were they thinking?
I would have been like, can I zoom in?
The PR guy must have been out fucking butt chugging beers or something, he must have had his neighbor jackhammering. He must not have gotten any sleep to make a decision like that. But I was also going to say I couldn't be more wrong. Remember I said in the hard cap era, not many exciting things happen at the deadline. I think we've legit had the most exciting deadline, and then the hard cap era, and that's why. And then all of a sudden, I think what Liam McHugh described it as, like the Coyotes are the not the Bahamas. Where do you go to like basically bury money and not pay taxes and shit?
The Cayman Islands?
The Caymans.
So I heard.
The Arizona Coyotes have became the Cayman Islands of the National Hockey League. We have a Hall of Fame roster, and we're just paying all these people who aren't even in the league anymore. And by the way, of all those guys, Shea Weber still has the largest contract in NHL history to this day.
Yeah, based on the fact it was 14 years, right? Now it'll never be touched. So
yeah, there was a couple of those mammoth deals. Parise got one. Suter got one.
Yep, I remember.
Kovalchuk's.
Quick got a 10-year. He's ending a 10-year right now.
Yeah. A great way to segue into Quickie. Holy shit!
Absolutely,
man.
Slap in the face. Disrespect. That's disrespect.
I mean, talking about the biggest surprises, this was it, man. I mean, you didn't hear his name anywhere. Why would you? Last year, a 10-year contract, 36 years old, most likely probably going to retire, a franchise legend, and yet you stopped in your tracks when you heard the Kings traded him to Columbus for defenseman Vladislav Gavrikov and the goalie Jonas Korpisalo, and they had to do it. That was the only way they could have got those two players, but it was like, holy shit. And then, where were they? In Winnipeg or Edmonton? And then he flew back with the team.
They called him off the bus. Jonathan Quick, Conn Smythe, two Stanley Cups. He's going to be on that statue. Jersey retired. They called him off the bus. That's how you trade Paul Bissonnette. You call him off the fucking bus. You don't.
That's
fucking
how you fire
that.
Gallant if you're the Panthers.
But he still flew home with them though, right, Paul? Like back to LA.
And apparently it shook up the plane. Apparently he lost his mind. Now this could be all fucking rumor boys shit, but like this is like from some pretty legitimate people talking about it. That is the hardest part about being a GM. You have to think with your mind and not your heart. Obviously, I'm loyal like a dog, so I probably couldn't have been able to trade him. I would have believed that he would have been able to turn things around in time to lead him into playoffs because he did it last year. Like last year, I want to say goaltending was rocky at the start, and then they brought Oilers to 7 games. Was it an overtime game?
It was 3-2. It was 3-2 LA in that series too. Didn't the Oilers? I think the Oilers won Game 6 on the road and 7 at home. What's ironic about the whole thing is like Kopitar gets 4 goals. They have this big win, and all of a sudden it's like, boom! It's just like terrible what happened. Now, as much as it's kind of like a bizarre move, and you're like, oh my God, Rob Blake, like I kind of respect him for it too. I hope that doesn't come off as the wrong way because I'm a Jonathan Quick guy. Not only is he an incredible player with this amazing career in the 2 Stanley Cups and everything he's ever accomplished, he's a great guy. He's a great person. Teammates love him.
Johnny's a pizza.
And like you said, last year he turned it on, but I think Rob Blake's looking at maybe this year he doesn't necessarily see it. He knows this team realistically could win the West. If this team went to the Stanley Cup final,
Doughty ain't getting any younger either.
They're not getting any younger. Korpisalo was a great goalie, and Gavrikov is a hell of a defenseman, and it was a move that Rob Blake, talk about a business decision, man. That is a ballsy move, and it sucks for Jonathan Quick, and when you hear Kopitar and Doughty talk, dude, they were emotional, and I completely understand. I thought back when I was reading all this, I was shocked too, like R.A. said. I couldn't believe it, but I just remember I played, so I left college my junior year, played in the AHL, we went to the Cup final, so I met Army then. The next year, we played the entire lockout year for Wilkes-Barre, so that's a season and a half. The next year, we were horrible in Pittsburgh, 2.5 years. And then the next year, we made the playoffs and lost, so 3.5. And then he gets traded at the deadline, right? So I'm with Army for 3-4 years, becomes a really good friend, and boom, that day comes when he gets dealt for Marian Hossa. And I just remember being so upset. Like, it was the excitement of Hossa's coming, but it was just like my first experience of the business and friendships, and just like, boom, it's over. And then you think to what Drew Doughty, Kopitar, and Jonathan Quick have accomplished together. It was the big 4. Dustin Brown got to sail away his final season. He got the statue, and then there's 3 left. Then there's 3 left. And boom, the goalie, the stalwart, the guy who did it all in the crease, Robin Kane, making an incredible saves against the Rangers and the Devils.
I'm getting a hockey boner. Keep going.
Boom, he's gone. And that's when you realize, like, if it was hard for us when Army left, you imagine these guys who've gotten to the pinnacle. They got to the top of the mountain 2 times together, and their best friend, Drew Doughty, said it's one of his best friends, and he's gone. So now it turns to Kopitar as the leader of that team to really kind of be able to get the team to get over it. And I'm not saying that that's something that's going to have to happen, considering Doughty and Kopitar are really the only 2 who were super, super close, I'm guessing, with the Cups, but it's just amazing to see how much of a business sports is. It doesn't matter what sport you're in, and it doesn't matter what you've done, and it doesn't matter what the fans think. In the end, GMs make tough-ass decisions, and Rob Blake made a tough one. And I don't want to dog Quick, but I think the Kings are a better team now than they were before.
What's wild is he could end up facing them in the playoffs. Like, how dramatic would that be?
Give it to me right now.
Oh, that's
Kim Jong-Bettman's going to make it happen if you think he's not.
Oh, yeah, Kim Jong.
He's setting all the pieces up.
Vince McMahon.
The last thing in the world the LA Kings want is to fucking play that guy in the playoffs. Now, that's not even to say he'll definitely be the starter. So that Aiden Hill is 6-1, I think, in his last 7. He's playing great.
I told you guys he was nasty.
I know.
When he was playing with the Coyotes.
I know.
He was built in a laboratory. He's like 6'5", huge wingspan, good skater. Like, fucking everything was fine with him. He just went over to San Jose, who stunk.
But beware of the man whose pride is called out.
Oh.
Is that even the correct term?
I don't care.
I mean, this is a proud athlete.
Sold it.
This is. I've heard from guys who play with Jonathan Quick that he's the most competitive motherfucker they've ever seen. So you're telling me he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder right now, and if he somehow plays the LA Kings,
you see
put it
the guy
in my veins, bitch. My basement might be done by then. I won't leave. I'll be ripping Red Bulls before that 10 o'clock face-off.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love to see it happen, because I just hope, and I'm sure it'll happen, that, he gets a statue or he gets the night he deserves, which he will in LA. But just to have it end like that, man, that's a tough, fucking hard-nosed business decision right there.
Did you see the guy online with the Quick jersey for Columbus?
No, he didn't.
Oh, yeah, right by the cannon.
And shout out Jarmo Kekalainen, because that's, I don't think Quick, what I read, he wasn't going there. He's like, I'm fucking retiring, dude. Done. And you know what? Classy guy. He's like, I'm going to do what I can. I guess that was probably the entire, move. Like, he was probably
agreement?
Based on, agreement in terms of, like, I'm going to get the guy out of here. But he gets him to a place that's not far from LA. And
whoa. Let me ask you this. Do you think Rob Blake would have known his landing spot?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, holy shit, if you would have okayed that, knowing you might face him first round.
But let me ask you this. Do you think if he said, I might not trade him, Rob Blake wouldn't have done the deal?
No, he would have done the deal.
At that point, you don't give a fuck. I know it sounds crazy. You don't. You're trying to win a cup.
Let's talk about the return. So Korpisalo. So I asked Hank. He's an extremely athletic goalie, and Hank said he's figured it out where he doesn't overcommit. So they got a legitimate goaltender, and now they have a legitimate backup. I don't think Copley was going to bring him the distance. This Korpisalo, with how athletic he is, he skates so well, he almost looks like Shesterkin in net. And I'm not fucking comparing the two. I'm just saying, skating's a very important aspect now. And on top of that, I've been bullish on the Kings, I think, since the beginning of the season, based on their top 9. One issue I thought they had was maybe they could add one piece on the back end. Now, this Gavrikov was the other component to the trade, and I think I was seeing online where he disrupts the most plays in the neutral zone. So he's one of those big defensemen that's great skater who's confident enough to get up and break up plays. Where sometimes, the reason I probably couldn't play D in the NHL is because I was I was skating forwards back, and my gap would be dog shit. So you're giving up the line easy.
And you had the drilling was going on during your pregame meal, and you couldn't play those nights.
Yeah, you'd think there's a lot of chinks in the armor.
The first time I saw Gavrikov is Sochi.
Oh, when you were in Russia?
Sochi Leopards went into town to play Lokomotiv. Great barn, good team, and they had this fucking defenseman, Gavrikov. I said, who the hell is this guy? Nothing crazy offensive, just great first passes and a mean prick and a big body. I go, this guy's playing in the NHL. Yeah. Sure as shit. I think 2 years later he comes over. He's been an awesome defenseman. He's just not all around, but just a defensive fucking beast.
He's a poor man's Slavin. We had him on the broadcast last night. This is dropping Tuesday. We had him Sunday, Tampa, Carolina. He was off the first time I saw him on the broadcast. I think he was out injured with something. He missed 7 games. But talk about one of the best defenders in all of the National Hockey League, the way that he uses his stick, the way that he gaps up. That Carolina team is fucking nasty.
Yeah, we'll get in. I got a couple opinions on them. I'm going to backpedal
on a few things on this podcast, but going back to LA, I also thought that they had a weak fourth line. Gee, I don't know how far you got to go back. I'm pretty sure I said all these things, and I think that out of the West, they could win the West. So they end up getting McEwen for Lemieux, where, buddy, I think like Lemieux's a character of the game, but I didn't think he was doing enough. This McEwen's a fucking big body they can now throw on that fourth line for the Kings, and I keep beating this dead horse. Their top 3 lines, I'm not saying they have like 4 or 5 guys that are fucking like maybe the Boston Bruins, but they have a incredibly strong middle of the ice, and they got all these like fun little pieces on the outside, and as well as young legs. So credit to Rob Blake. He probably had one of the best deadlines and didn't really have to sacrifice much. And out of the West, man, I look at them as probably the 2nd or 3rd strongest team in the Western Conference. And if this Korpisalo can fucking get the job done in net, that was the one thing that was dragging him down at the beginning of the year. And then it got good when Copley first came, and then it's evened out a bit. If they get fucking above average goaltending, I'm telling you, Western Conference Finals for sure.
Give me your 1 through 5. Colorado, Dallas, Edmonton, LA, and Minnesota.
You're talking about everyone West? I think that once the Avs are completely healthy, I think it's one of those cases of where they're just going to be able to all gel at the right time, where everybody feels refreshed, and they have a very strong. That's who I would put my money on. If Edmonton can get some half decent goaltending with that fucking move, I don't know. Do you guys want to hop into Ekholm right now in that move? That was such a big. They didn't really have to do much. They fucking went out and got a guy who's very competent with the puck. He has experience in the playoffs. He really settles down that back end, and he is fucking nasty to play against. He was one of the guys who didn't sit out when he played against the Coyotes, and I was talking about how hard Nashville plays. He's already gotten his money. He ain't shipping it in. After scrums, if you're around his fucking goalie, he's going to give you that fucking cross check, and he ain't backing down. Is he fighting Revo? No. But how many other fucking guys in the that actually are going to be playing against Ekholm will intimidate him? Nobody. He's a fucking great piece. What a move by Holland. The goaltending is a conversation. I watched that Jets game, and I feel bad for Campbell. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. But also, like, Skinner's kind of even off too. Skinner would obviously be your guy going into playoffs, no?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Campbell either. I could be way off base. He almost seems like somebody who gets like a little down on himself, and it's like a confidence thing. Like, you can even see, like, he feels so bad when he plays bad. I know earlier in the year he was apologizing and like, I'm going to be better. And I don't know if it's a technical thing, because I don't know shit about goalies, but I just, seeing his interviews and stuff, I don't know if his mental game is that strong. I think when he's on, and when he's off, he's just kind of like mentally out of it a little bit. I could be way off here. It's kind of unfair to say that, considering I don't know him and I'm not on the team. But what a move. Talk about exactly what the Oilers needed. And all the Oilers haters, all they do is come at me about the goaltending. I'm never going to sit there and say that that's not an issue. What I constantly say is, it's an if, it's a big if, but if Skinner can turn it on, or Campbell somehow finds the game again, they can win the West. They're incredible. And Ekholm is exactly what they needed, because, like you said, it's a calming influence. It's a guy who has the first pass ability, has the one-on-one defense, is a leader, is a prick to play against. All the things that they just needed to add right there in one guy. And he came over, he flew the day of the game against Toronto. He looked unreal in that game. He looked great in the win against Winnipeg Friday night. Unfortunately, they had kind of tough goaltending. They lost 6-5 Saturday night to Winnipeg, or whatever it was. Gave up a ton of goals again, but an awesome addition. Holland had to do something. I think he sees this team as a legit chance in that conference to go all the way, and he goes out and gets the one guy I kind of hope they got. Right? You heard earlier in the year, Carlson to Edmonton, you never know. That's got to be a summer move. There was just too many moving parts, too much money. To go out and get Ekholm and then know he signed for 3 more years, I think it's around 6.2, something like that. That is just a perfect addition. They got Kane's going to be back soon. They got McDavid, who broke the Oilers' all-time record with 58 points on the power play in one season.
Is this the McDavid segment?
Amazing
another
to
McDavid
see.
segment.
The all-time record of power play points in a season is 80 by Mario Lemieux. I think it was in 89. I think Lemieux's got the top 4 single-season records for power play points.
Jeeps.
McDavid's at 58. He might even be past it now. I'm not sure about Saturday night. That's well within reach. And at the same time, Leon breaks a record for the Edmonton Oilers with his 25th power play goal in one season. The all-time NHL record for that is Tim Kerr with the Philadelphia Flyers in 85-86. He had 34. So 9 more, and he ties
that guy is humming right now.
That's what. Oh, buddy, I did my research. I fucking researched the shit out of the Oilers. But that record's well within reach. So you're looking at a team. We talk about special teams all the time. I'm not exaggerating. It might be the greatest power play to ever be in the NHL.
It's so fun to watch.
It's unreal. They don't even have positions. And I know Tyson Barrie possibly be gone, and he's probably a better passer than Bouchard. But Bouchard's got the shot that Barrie doesn't have, and that's a cannon one-timer. He got a couple blocked late in the game in Winnipeg. They could have tied it up, but it's a good team. They need goaltending. But it's an exciting time to be an Oilers fan.
You got to send Jack Oshie. Even out the dog-to-cat ratio. I think the cat thing's fucking him up. Gee, what's going on, buddy?
No, I was just listening to episode 409 at the 109 mark where you went on in the Western Conference preview, you went on an absolute tangent about the LA Kings, how you love their team, you love their prospects, you love what they're building. You said, I took the L last year. I ain't taking the L again. LA Kings are making the playoffs.
Do you know the saying,
if I pat myself on the back here?
Do you know that saying, Biz? You know, blind squirrels, they're crawling around the grass and all of a sudden they just step on a nut.
Hey, you take enough at bats, buddy, you're eventually going to hit one out of the park. Got that one. I've been beating that drum all year, and it's definitely in my top 3 right now to jump on the bandwagon. Now, I have a few other teams. We'll get to them later in the podcast.
Can I say one more thing about the Oilers, Biz?
Yeah, for sure. No, you know what? There is no Battle of Alberta because the Calgary Flames stink. They have completely lost their mojo.
They suck.
This is an embarrassment. So I am going to be a great guy and allow the whole Battle of Alberta to be simply Edmonton Oilers conversation.
Yeah, it's over.
Suck on that, Flames.
My last thing on the Oilers, I'll say 3 words. That's it. Ryan Nugent Hopkins.
Killer. You mean killer?
This guy is so fucking underrated and so good at hockey and doesn't get the shine because of those 2 dogs up front. And I understand maybe there's a reason why he has so many points. He is an all-around awesome hockey player who deserves to have this career season and beat the absolute shit out of maybe, I'm going to say, in the past 10 years, one of a fan base's least favorite players in Justin Holl. And I feel bad for him because I've been that guy. You know, the big, not too physical defenseman who seems to turn it over a lot. I can't remember Leafs fans hating a player more. Maybe Larry Murphy. So I feel bad for him. But to have the season he's had and then to get your eyes pumped shut by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, that's just a tough go. That's a tough go. Well, what else are you going to say?
I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up.
How do you not? It looked like if I
think he
Ryder.
Gets more hate online than Babcock on the way out, for crying out loud. That's how bad he's feeling.
I feel horrible for him. I'm not being sarcastic. Like the tweets,
he might get more hate than Corey Cross.
Why is he still playing? Is he doing a better job than we think? Am I just a stupid fan?
They have 9 D right now too. They have so many D.
That's why it's unfair. There's something he does that Sheldon Keefe likes, and I've never seen a guy get hated on like this. It's crazy.
He's loyal like a dog.
As for the trade, Edmonton got Matthias Ekholm, a 6th and 24. Tyson Barrie, as you mentioned, went back to Nashville. Prospect Reed Schaefer, a 1st rounder in 23, a 4th and 24. And the Preds will retain $250,000 of that deal. Ekholm has 4 more left after this year with at 6 1/4. Barry's got one more left at $4.5 million. They'll both be unrestricted after. I'm not sure if you mentioned Bukestad, because you may have just said it in all that chaos.
No, I didn't.
Okay, they also Edmonton also picked up Nick Bukestad. He's $900K. He'll be UFA after this year. In a prospect from Arizona, they sent back. Let's see. Hold on. Bukestad, a prospect in a 3rd and 23, and the Yotes are retaining 50% of that. So, I mean, that's a little good bottom six for him to help out, add a little D. He's got a little style to his game, too.
He's a gazelle, 6'7", just a massive human being. Can help on the penalty kill. He was playing power play net front. I would imagine he goes nowhere near the power play, at least the first unit on that team. Maybe the second unit that gets the last 15 seconds of the power play in Edmonton. Because those are the guys
who
do
the power play practice for the PKers to work on the PK. That's the only power play he's going to see.
Exactly. But just to finalize the Oilers, goaltending and their role players can't fuck this up. And they got a great team. What's going on with Evander Kane? He's in the lineup, right? I haven't heard his name much.
I think he's coming. He did pregame skate today. They play Buffalo this obviously Monday night. I don't know if he's playing tonight, but they got McLeod on the first line with McDavid. That kid has wheels. Let's see if that kind of goes anywhere.
He loves his pops. That's all I keep hearing about this guy. I heard the locker room loves him. I heard he's a beauty. Just kind of like the goofy young guy that they can all have a laugh at. But look, the Hyman's having a ridiculous year. Imagine Kane comes in, he's kind of like the Ekholm of up front, where fuck is he a mean prick to play against, and he can snipe. They have enough stars to win it. They have enough guys they have a good enough core group where they can win a Stanley Cup. Goaltending and the role guys can't fuck it up.
Want to know my guarantee before we move on? If they get to the Western Conference Finals against Colorado again, they'll win a game. They'll get a game.
All right, man.
Hey, Biz, I got some stats for you. We have Team A and Team B over the last 16 games. Team A went 12-3-1 with a plus 24 goal differential, 11.5 on the power play, 84.8 penalty killing. Team B also went 12-3-1, plus 24 goal differential, a better power play at 20.7, a better penalty kill at 87.7. Which two teams am I talking about?
Okay. Minnesota's on a run right now. That would be a guess of mine. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I think I have at least one of them.
Okay, so Avalanche have also been humming lately. But let's go. Yeah, who do you got? Carolina?
I got Ottawa as one of them.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
And I bet you the other one's Boston.
Boom. Dunzo. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm fucking buzzing right now.
Wow, you are humming right now.
I'm buzzing because Boston basically just every 15 games it's 12-3, probably actually 13-2, so that's standard. This Ottawa Senators team might be one of the most fun teams to watch in the league right now. And Brady Tkachuk doing what he did to the Detroit bench. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Bent him over.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the first off the trade, I mean, Jacob Chicken, we've been waiting for this for 4 months or whatever, finally goes to Ottawa. Let's see, goes to Ottawa. Arizona gets a top 5 protected in 23, a conditional second in 24, and a second in 26. People thought it would have been a lot more. Chicken is signed for 2 more years after this one at a team-friendly $4.6 million. Claude Giroux, I guess he was a big push behind this. Pierre Dorian said the players come to him and said, we want you to do something here. We feel good right now. And Dorian said, we owe it to our players to do something to help that push. Our players said, please do something. I also made a promise to Claude Giroux to get something done. He got something done. Biz, did you think Arizona was going to have to get more for this? What? The return? What's your take on it?
I was hoping the return would be more. And I don't talk to Bill Armstrong enough. I'd be interested to pick his brain. I don't know if he overplayed his hand. It just didn't seem with what the buildup was that they got back. I would have liked what they got pick-wise and like a good prospect. And then I would have felt comfortable about it. So to the other side, though, as far as what Dorian did, it's not... For what he gave up, man, they get a guy for 2 more years at an unbelievable number, and his ceiling could be sky high. By the time the next 2 years go, he could be worth $7-8 million defenseman. The gamble is the amount of injuries he's had. I want to say he's had like 5 major surgeries dating back to when he was his draft year and or his last year of junior with the Sarnia Sting. He got shoulder surgery. 2 ACL surgeries on one knee, 1 on the other, and then he had a big issue with his wrist where he had to get surgery on it. He played most of last year with like a fucked up wrist. He showed me it. I was like, so, but like, he's such a fucking unit. He skates unbelievable. So any mistakes he makes, he can recover well. He's always got a pretty good stick. Maybe lacks an edge, like a mean guy streak. We talked about Ekholm like that. But I think for what he lacks in that, offensively, one of the most lethal shots you'll see. Slap shot, one-timer, or even wristers. He'll send wristers sometimes, and they'll hit the bar, and it will shake you to the core if you're in the building. Mind you, it's at Mullet, so maybe it wouldn't do it if there was an upper deck. But he is such a good defenseman to go over there, and he could turn into a number 2, maybe 3. I've always said that I believed he was a 4 on a Stanley Cup winning team, but he's going in there where he's got family ties. His grandpa's been at all the games. Like, you tell it was such an emotional lift off his shoulders to finally be on a team that's going to be competing. I don't blame him. The rebuild and what the Coyotes have moving forward for probably the next 3, 4, maybe if not 5 years, he didn't want to hang around. He's already been experienced it since he came in the league. He feels like he has more to offer, and I'm excited to see what the ceiling is for this guy surrounded by other guys in Ottawa. I didn't realize they were playing that good, but I do know that I think the 2 games they bent the Detroit Red Wings over, where, let's keep in mind here, them and Detroit were neck and neck for like who was going to be the team to come up and compete for that wild card. You mentioned Brady's name. Fuck, him going at the bench going, who wants it? He's a fucking dog, dude. Both those fucking kids, man, they're out of their mind. That's what hockey needs. A captain who could tuck every night. He's Walt. He's Walt, man. He's got a fucking edge. He won't back down from nobody. A true leader. This is at the beginning of the year where the fan base was calling for the coach's head. He said, shut the fuck up. He's like, this is on the players. We'll figure this out. We'll get it done. And then Dorian to give him that piece for them to potentially get that wild card. I would rather see them in a wild card than even the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they fucking drafted me. There you go. How do you like that one, Whit?
Yeah, them in Buffalo. I think they're both like 2 points back. Big one in Buffalo against Edmonton Monday night. But Dorian deserves a lot of credit. And I think 2 years ago he mentioned we got to be patient. We can't be trading big prospects and picks quite yet. And then he saw what's happened with this team. And as he mentioned, players went to him and he promised Claude Giroux, and he did it. And they had Zaitsev making 4.5. They get rid of him and they bring in Chychrun making the same thing, and they got him for 2 more years. Dude, that left defense, Thomas Chabot, Jake Sanderson, Jacob Chychrun. 24 years is the oldest. I think Chychrun's 24 is the oldest one. That is a big time left defense right there. The one guy in Ottawa who doesn't get enough credit, every time I watch them, this Stützle is something else. He's over 30 this year, already in goals. Early to jump to. I try not to be the hot take guy, even though I have about 47 of them a podcast. The LA Kings took Quentin Byfield second and Tim Stützle third. I know it's early. I don't know if you possibly would maybe redo that one if you could. He's fast. He competes. I think defensively once in a while, but a young stud offensively. You understand that comes with the game. He's going to learn. He's going to have to learn for them to be a playoff team. He's a game breaker. And that team's fun to watch. Like you said, Brady Tkachuk pretty much ended the Detroit Red Wings season. They signed Larkin and just started selling everything. He flexed at their bench. What are you going to do? It's a fun team. And Dorian's taking heat. And I think right now it's like that fan base is excited. The whole place is chanting, we want playoffs, as they're beating Columbus the other night. It's been a cool season and a cool last few weeks for Ottawa. And I don't think they're going to slow down. I think their entire goal this year was to play meaningful games at the end of the season, and they're doing it. You know, up to the end of the year, they're going to be playing, maybe the last 5-6 games, they're going to be out of it. Who knows? But I like watching them. And I think next year now as a fan base, you're looking at like, all right, we're going to compete. We're going to get in the playoffs. Hell of a move. And Chiclets' first goal was it was a wrist shot that had to be going 93 miles an hour. Ping! All you heard is crossbar it in. He had a nice assist too. He kind of laid a saucer pass in the neutral zone to somebody. They went in on a 2-on-1. Just an awesome start for a guy who deserves it. Now, going to Arizona, I can't imagine some of the deals he turned down for him. I would love to know the top 5 offers he had that he turned down. And what's weird is, like, he wanted the trade last year. I don't know how that doesn't get done this summer. there had to be offers at the draft. There had to be different chances where you had these offers coming to you that maybe never looked as good as what you wanted. Well, you're certainly not going to get the offer 2 days before the deadline that you want. It's like, I think he overplayed his hand. Now, who knows what in terms
or it goes back to the Rob Blake thing where maybe it just drew out so long where it was maybe a buddy pass at that point. Maybe he did have stronger offers. Obviously, the smart play would have been just hold him to the draft, because at that point,
that's what they should have done.
Or at least know, like Michael Futa, who said at the beginning of the podcast when I had the drill going in my brain, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it anyway, was he should be in management to some degree. He said, I don't understand why they don't keep it till the draft, because then you at least know what pick you're getting and who the player is going to be. So and I was like, oh, I would have never thought to hang on to it to that. You might be listening and say, well, that's not rocket Scientology, Scientology, right? That's not the fucking smartest thing in the world. But he obviously knows what the fuck he's talking about. So that's why I would like to pick his brain, not pick his ear, about what maybe why he did it at that time and maybe what the prior offers were. But there's no fucking possible way he hadn't been offered more than what he got at the deadline, at least
numerous
before that.
times.
0%. 0%.
And what happened was Edmonton got Ekholm, LA got Gavrikov, Boston got Orlov, and then you're like, oh, fuck. We're now left. Ottawa was out of it and then came back in and all right, well, you still want to deal him? Here, take these draft picks.
Last thing I'll say though, all the praise in the world for the way that he conducted himself and how professional he took it. He dealt, I said 5 major surgeries, guys. That is so much of a mental grind. You've talked about it and how you finally were like, fuck this. He's done it 5 times to get his body back to where it needs to be. Fully committed, 2-a-days all summer long. Major surgeries here. So he's a dog. I'm so happy for him, and I hope he stays healthy and helps that team win.
What was crazy is it was kind of scary that first game in New York. He went down, too. I was like, oh, no, poor fucking guy. Finally gets
Didn't he get hit in the chin?
I don't even know what it was. I just kind of saw in the highlights that he was down in the corner, and he ended up, obviously he's okay, but that was scary. So congrats to him on getting traded. And Ottawa fans, it's been a long road, and you deserve this success, and you deserve the excitement around your team. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, Ottawa, 5 straight. They've scored at least 5 goals in all 5 of those games. We got to congratulate Derek Brassard as well. Played his 1,000th game Thursday versus the Rangers. Got 2 goals in it. Got to congratulate the guy for that.
He got a
That's
nice
awesome
rollie
stuff.
in the locker room. There's a video where he gets pretty emotional. And one other thing, they're doing this without Norris, who's another awesome player. Isn't he out for the year?
Yeah, he's out for the year. And then Forsberg, he tore both MCLs on the same play. He was kind of their stud goalie. So they've had who's there? I'm drawing a blank. Cam Talbot.
And then that Mads
Sorgard or something.
Yeah,
he's actually he was a pretty high pick. I think he's 6'7". He could be. I think he was picked in 19, and that's a possible big time prospect in net for him. But yeah, pretty impressive to not have Norris and to not have Forsberg playing and be doing this.
37th overall in 2019.
Yeah, for a goalie, I mean it's a pretty high pick. It's not 5th overall like yours truly.
The other team you mentioned, Boston. Should we just get to them later? I said Minnesota, but Minnesota's been hot over the last 7. They've only allowed 7 goals in their last 7 games. They've lost 1 game, and it was in I think it was in overtime to the Leafs where Nylander scored a nice one. So they made a few crafty deals at the deadline where they added the offense that they needed. Klingberg, that's a great pickup. I didn't think he was going to go anywhere, especially with the money that he was making.
He's had a tough year. I don't know.
He's had a brutal year, but what does Minnesota have to lose? If you were a Minnesota fan...
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah, 3-4 weeks ago, if you would have said, yeah, you're probably not going to make playoffs, they would have been like, Now they look great. They're getting the goaltending that they need. The net's being shared. Dumba's back in the lineup. He's playing pretty solid, and they got a good mojo with Billy G. He's fully invested in this tarps off. That's all you keep hearing about online.
Yeah, he didn't
have
have much.
Revo got his first as a member of the Wild. He said he was getting chirped at I don't know if it was his kids' practice. He was getting chirped by some young kids. He said. So then he banged. It was a nice one too. Batted it out of midair. Nice goal. Congrats, Revo.
They got Johansson, and who was the other one? Nyquist.
I
Marcus
think Nyquist is
Johansson,
hurt right now.
Gustav Nyquist, Oscar Sundqvist, and Klingberg, like you mentioned. He didn't have a lot of cap space, man. He did a great job to get 4 guys on that roster. You know, he did a good job. I don't think people thought that the Wild were going to get 4 guys at the deadline.
No.
But do you think that's enough to push them to the upper tier of contention, Biz, those 4 guys with what they already have?
I feel like teams are just like giving players away to him so they could call them and talk to him, just chat a little bit. That's how cool Billy G is. Like, hey, like 2-hour
him, like, running
conversation.
after the
Hey,
phone?
you want to take this guy? Just take Klingberg. Fucking take him. What was the question again, RA?
Is this enough to put them in the upper tier of contenders in the West? Okay.
No.
Okay.
They've, like I said, it has to be a team of destiny for them to be able to make a run. I still think they're really weak at center ice. They've been juggling that position all year long, and no, I just think that they rely too much heavily on that first line to produce offense. They just don't have much secondary scoring. And then they parted. I thought they did a good job where they had like too tough of a team, where they had all these huge big bodies, and I didn't see them moving Foligno, so they parted ways with Greenway. It was sad. It seemed like everybody really liked him there, and it was an emotional goodbye. But then a team like Buffalo, who I think we can all admit are softer than puppy shit. They got a lot of other things going for them, but they're softer than puppy shit. They end up getting Greenway. So I think that they did the proper moves in order to get more skillful and maybe complement the offense. Let's see how it works out. Like I said, they're doing a good job of keeping it out of their net right now. They've only let 7 goals in the last 7 fucking games. Like, that's a pretty fucking good run.
Imagine where they'd be without Kirill Kaprizov. He's been carrying them. He has 48% of their goals since the All-Star break he scored for that team. 48% of the goals, almost half the goals since the friggin' All-Star break. Guys are awesome to watch.
I think you said it 3 podcasts ago. He's worth the price of admission.
Well, Biz, you mentioned Boston already, so I suppose we should just jump on them. We woke up last week, me and Grinelli, very happy. Awesome news. First off, the Pastor extension, 8 years, $90 million. It's $11.25 a year. No move clause for the first 5, then a modified no trade for the last 3. Biggest contract in Bruins history, and you know he was going to stay. I don't think he even threatened to go anywhere else. One of the top, 4 or 5 players in the game right now. And then later in the day, they get friggin' Tyler Bertuzzi from Detroit for their first rounder in 24, protected in a 4th rounder in 25. He's in the last year of a 2-year, $9.5 million deal. Detroit actually retained 50%. This kid could be a perfect Bruin, man. He's got that like gritty style. He's not afraid to mix it up a little, and he could score some friggin' goals, man. So I hope he has a good run here, and they lock him up, man. I'm like, geez, let's get your take for these moves. I'm still over the moon with them.
Adding Tyler Bertuzzi to this lineup with Hall out, with Foligno out, I think it's crucial right now for the final stretch here, and especially for a playoff run. And people are talking about a potential extension for this guy after the season. I would love that. He is the perfect Bruin. Keep this guy a Bruin as long as you can.
People seem to be mortified about his stick, though. No tape up top, nothing up top.
Raw dog.
That's amazing. I've never. Now, granted, if it's a grip stick, I guess it'd be a little easier, but without the grip, it's so slippery without the tape. I don't know. I mean, this kid certainly seems to beat to his own drum. Kind of a poor man's Brad Marchand in a sense that he's an absolute rat. He'll do anything it takes to win, and he's really skilled. I think Marchand's like a superstar. I don't necessarily think Bertuzzi's obviously as good as him, but a lot of similar traits, and that's exactly what the Bruins play like. That's exactly what they need. That's why they brought in Hathaway, Orlov. Speaking of defense, like maybe the greatest start to a trade in the history of the NHL. I mean, he's looked outstanding. So this team is firing on all cylinders. I think they're one of the best hockey teams to ever play in this league. I'm not even joking either. At this point, like, they're going to slow down after the All-Star break. They've won 10 in a row again. It's incredible to watch. That beatdown they put on the Rangers Saturday afternoon was just total domination. The hit McAvoy put on Trocheck, oh my God, I don't even think they showed the replay on ABC. Give me Cale Makar, and then give me Charlie McAvoy. He's the second best defenseman in the NHL. All around, every single year he's getting better. He's getting bigger. I texted Chris Wagner during the game. I go, dude, this kid, he goes, he's a fucking animal. And that's how he plays. And not often do you see these complete players anymore. I mean, Makar, you saw the big hit against Jordan Staal last year or this year, whenever it was. But
from a game-to-game basis. From a game-to-game basis,
plays like that as a defenseman in the league? And then could skate the way he does. It's just, I would like to see them, if I'm like a big-time fan of the Bruins. The last 10 games, maybe Bergeron and Krejci play every other game. Get them. I don't even know if they want to. Now, they have the chance to break the all-time record. I think it's the 77 Canadians, right, R.A.?
Yeah, record fastest to 100 points. They beat the 77 Canadians.
But isn't there, what record are they gunning after? Like most points in the history of the league?
I think it was the Red Wings for wins, maybe. I think it is. Because
Come on,
they were
who cares? That's my
Boston
who cares?
guys.
I just said it. It's wins for Detroit because Montreal had the points.
Grinelli's on it.
To beat the fucking 77 Canadians record, dude, I mean, it's one of the best teams ever.
It's crazy. And my point was more that, like, I don't think they do care. I don't know, but who gives a fuck? Nothing matters besides this run. And that's the great thing about Bertuzzi. With Foligno and Hall out, it's like, all right, well, where does everyone slot in when they get back? Who cares? You need depth. You need a bunch of different players. Right now, I think they've scratched Grzelcyk. They've scratched Clifton. Like, people go down in the playoffs, man. The depth that they have, too, is just wild. I couldn't believe when they got Bertuzzi. I was hitting balls. I checked my phone. I'm like, what? I mean, the Maple Leafs and the Lightning must have thrown up when they saw that. Like, that was the last thought in my mind, that the Bruins still could add Bertuzzi. If they don't win the Stanley Cup, it's an enormous upset and an enormous disappointment, because they're truly one of the greatest teams to ever play hockey in this league right now. This season has been...
I think it's a fair comparison to say he's a poor man's Marchand, where if you look at the percentages of scrums that Boston has, I bet you Marchand's probably starting 65% of them. Where If you looked at Detroit, every time you see a video of the Goon Squad, it's fucking Bertuzzi in the mix. Every time. Isn't there a couple videos that went viral of those two in particular going at each other?
Oh, yeah.
A few times, yeah.
Yeah.
Bertuzzi's awful. The one video I saw, Bertuzzi he's telling him, let's go, like right in his face.
And then Marchand like stick the goalie.
Yes,
and then he went and jumped him.
and then jumped somebody else.
yeah. More of that, please.
Biz, the points record you asked for, though, Montreal Canadiens 76, 77 was 132 points. And then the win record is the Tampa Bay Lightning 2018-2019 was 62 wins.
That ended well.
So you were just mentioning a little bit of load management. I asked Coop on the broadcast about that. So you would recommend that just because of their age? So we were talking about it with the Leafs earlier on because Matthews is a little bit banged up. And just mentioning it because and Liam McHugh, I think, brought up the original, the point. They already know who their first round opponent is. And they're pretty much going to have home ice. So why wouldn't they? And in the case in which, and then I got a text from Charles Barkley say it's a sad day when we're talking about load management in the National Hockey League. So, obviously ask Coop about that, saying, hey, you guys look exhausted right now, especially the top guys who he called out in Buffalo, sat him out the entire third period. So I said, hey, like, you guys know you're going to be playing the Leafs. Looks like they're probably going to get home ice. Why? You've been on a run 3 years in a row to the Stanley Cup Finals. The fucking nervous system on these top-end guys, that core group, must be shot for how much competitive hockey they've had to play. Maybe why not ease them in? He said, fuck that. I think it's going to fuck up with their timing, and that's more of a mental thing. Where you're telling me that they should be sitting those guys out every other game. I agree. It's going to be a long run. They got older legs. Same with Tampa Bay. So you would do that as a head coach easing into playoffs if you were Montgomery?
No brainer. Now, the question is, like, what Coop's saying, there's a valid point to it, because Bergeron and Krejci, they could say, I don't really want to. Like, maybe play me 15, 17 minutes opposed to the 20. But for me, like, as like an analyst, if that's what you want to call me, it's like, it's going to be 2.5 months if you can reach the goal that you guys are setting out to do. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be battles. Besides the first round. I know the record they're chasing is the Lightning, who got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Bruins, can I bet that they'll sweep the first round, whoever they play? Can you bet that a team sweeps already? Yeah. That's a bet I'm gonna be making. So for me, it's like, let's just give them a little rest leading up to the playoffs. You always get those 3 days of practice leading up to the first game of the first round. So I don't see the harm in it, unless they really do want to break that record and it's kind of coming down to the end.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if they break the record, don't win the cup. Nobody gives a shit about the record.
Nobody gives a shit. And then if you win the cup, nobody gives a shit about the record.
You're the Patriots when they had Randy Moss. You went completely undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl, didn't you?
That's different, though. That was different. If they hadn't played the Giants the last game of that season, they would have won that fucking Super Bowl too.
But back to the load management biz, I'm curious to see if they do follow the NBA. And there's a big misconception about it in the NBA. The players don't decide they're not going to play. I think people, they're making $30 million, they don't want to play. It comes from the front office. They have all these scientists. Yeah.
You don't think the players are the...
all right. I don't know.
Oh, Ray, you were born at night, but not last night, brother.
I sent you guys the text thread. It was a week ago. I think he might have been an agent.
I would have to disagree with you. You have proof of the comment in an article saying that? Because didn't LeBron go to where did he go? He went to the Super Bowl and didn't play in the following game. I'm pretty sure the management's not saying, hey, pal, we're in a playoff race here. Why don't you go enjoy the Super Bowl and take the next one off?
All right, that could be whoever them saying it to kind of take the heat off the players. Like some of those NBAers, you cannot tell me they're not like, yeah, and tomorrow night I'm not playing.
Well, this guy, I think he might have been an agent. He had a long tweet thread. It was really interesting. And there's actually a quote from Steph in the article. And he's like, they say we want to play. They tell us we're not going to play. They measure their sleep, every little scientific thing you can imagine. Basically, the nerds are sort of dictating. And people are like, they can play if they want. It's like, no, the players don't hand in the lineup card before the game. What do you got, forge the name on the lineup card? I mean, you can't force yourself in. What, Biz?
Coach Whoop. The fucking Whoop's deciding if you're playing or not. Hey, man.
Your biggest asshole in the NBA is that John Morant, too. What a fucking idiot.
What's he doing?
What an absolute idiot. Waving a gun around like in a strip, in an Instagram live video, and he's getting called out by other players for being like fake hood. Like, you went to Cranbrook, a private school. Like, I don't even think he's hood at all. And he's just trying to absolutely come off as this, like, gangbanger. It's like, buddy, you're literally leading this entire franchise to become a good team, and you're acting like an asshole off the court.
Wait, it just came out today, too, that they had a team meeting, like, hours before he went to the club, where Steven Adams was running the meeting and was like, the whole meeting was about, guys, we need to stop partying so much. We're bracing for a playoff race. Can't be going out doing this shit. And then 5 hours later, he's brandishing a gun in an Instagram video.
Selfish.
Great teammate.
You have the world by the balls, dude. What is making you trying to be a tough guy carrying a gun around, buddy? It's like it's fucking infuriating to me, and I don't even care about basketball. It's crazy. Am I not right?
You're hitting the nail on the head. I just don't. Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't know what's wrong with him. I mean, I think so. They suspended him for 2 games. I'm pretty sure the NBA is going to do a bit of an investigation as to why he's thinking about even doing this. Then there was some tweets that were out there. I don't know if they're true or not. Somebody said he might have brought it on a team flight. That might be a complete rumor. Whereas like the NBA was looking into it, where that would be a 50-game sussy. Well, I think Gilbert Arenas was the last guy to bring one to the
locker room. He pulled out someone in the locker room.
I think one of his teammates owed him big dough.
Yeah, off a card game. Card game on the plane.
Sick league. But I think Morant also was a part of I don't know if it was for sure proven, but there was a story that he was in a car that put like a red light, like almost like a sniper light.
His friends were. After his friends were kicked out of, I believe it was the Pacers game, they shined lasers, and they insinuated that it was a laser from a pistol or gun at the employees, and they were freaked the fuck out.
Jesus Christ. Sick.
Holy fucking stupid.
How the hell did we get on this combo?
Well, load management. Then we start talking about guns.
Yeah, load it up.
Well, before that, we were talking about Tampa, and they're slumping right now. 5th loss in a row, longest streak since March of 2014. Also dropped 8 out of 10. And Vasi hasn't looked like Vasi. He's in a rough stretch right now. He's given up at least 5 goals in 3 of his last 5 starts. So what do you think? Is this a slump, lack of confidence, tough part of schedule, or just the last 3 years catching up to them?
I would guess the last 3 years catching up with them. I would guess this is also the time of the year, as Biz said, they know they're playing Toronto, and it's just like, this 3-year grind, and this is the part of the, like, can we just get to the playoffs? It's kind of like a bunch of different things probably rolled into one. Hopefully Hedman isn't hurt, because that's a guy they got no chance of going on another run without him. I don't know if there's been any news today in terms of his injury. Svechnikov hit him. He kind of went into the boards awkward. It looked kind of bad the way he was grabbing his back. Hopefully he's okay. The other thing that's crazy is I don't think that Vasilevsky allows Cooper, and that's probably the Rod wording because Cooper's the coach, he'll do what he wants, but he doesn't get pulled. Do you notice that? He never pulls him. And I don't know if that's him saying, don't pull me, like I want to grind through things, but at some point you'd think with the run he's on right now, maybe give him a little rest or get him out of a game early if you realize that he doesn't have it.
We talked about this in the bubble, I want to say. In the sense of the reason he says don't pull me, it's because the information he gathers, like still, as the game's going on late in games, like maybe how to push through things when he's feeling a little bit tired or what he needs to do a little bit better. I'm pretty sure we talked about that and Coop has. And even when I asked him about the load management thing, he goes, when you asked me that question, the guy I was thinking of was Vazzy. And where
really?
Yeah, he's sometimes saying, no, I want to play. I got to play. I got to get my timing down. So, yeah, so in his case, it is coming from the goaltender. As far as the other guys, listen, Coop's won 2 Stanley Cups. He knows what the fuck he's doing. Who the hell am I to question him? He was a guy who told me to, like on the Larkin thing, he goes, hey, you don't know what you lost until it's gone. So he knows what the hell he's talking about. We'll get to Larkin later, but I trust that I'm not going to give this team any judgment until they hit playoffs. You can't, because they might, like you said, they just might be bored right now, and all of a sudden they fucking turn it on. So I don't know.
So when he benched Kucherov, Point, and Stamkos for the third period of that game, I don't mind it. I know those guys. There's a picture of the guys sitting on the bench. Kucherov has his gloves on with his arms crossed. He looks disgusted. And Coop had a great quote after. He said 99.9% of the time those guys give us the greatest chance to win. This one time, I didn't think they did, and we almost came back and beat Buffalo. Buffalo's hungry, dude. They're trying to get in the playoffs. They're playing a team that's just waiting to get this thing going again, and those 3 guys were having an off night, so he sits them down. And it's not about, like, punishing them. It's more about showing the entire team, like, I don't give a shit. Like, if I'm going to bench these guys, where do you think the rest of you sit? So something like that pisses those guys off, probably gets them a little hungrier. I mean, they go on to lose 6-0 the next day, but we'll see if anything comes of that. But they're proud athletes. They're all star players. They're gonna bounce back. And overall, in the entire run that they're on right now, in terms of losing so often, if I'm a Lightning fan, I'm not worried. And like Biz said, you just can't be. It's like, just get us to the playoffs, and then you got to trust what's happened here in the past could happen again. And we can't really worry about what's going on in the regular season, as they already know their matchup.
Damn what fucking rolling today.
Well, I just repeated everything you guys said basically there. So
no, that's
I'm not
cool.
giving myself any
People
credit.
like to hear you say it too.
Speaking of superstars, we do have one come on a little later. TAGE Thompson from Buffalo. We chatted with him a couple weeks ago. We got to bring him on, I don't know, another 15, 20 minutes, but we got some more shit to get to. Biz, you just mentioned Dylan Larkin. Detroit locked him up with a nice extension. 8 years, $69.6 million, comes out to 8.7 AAV. No trade clause for the first 5 years, a modified no trade clause for the last 3. And then, like you said, immediately into sell mode. They traded Philippe Hronek, the defenseman, Tyler Bertuzzi, Jacob Vrana, and Oscar Sundqvist, all in a 48-hour period. But they picked up a first, a second, and a fourth this summer. Conditional first in 24. It's Boston's pick. That's top 10 protected. And a fourth and a seventh in 25. So the Yzerman plan's kind of getting like rewritten on the fly here a little bit, eh, Biz?
I look at it like St. Louis. He knew exactly when to fold them, and he got a great return for it all. He doesn't care about these years. He's building the core through the guys that he still has in his lineup. Dylan Larkin being one of them. And fucking, we carved out that deal. Myself, Pat Brisson, Stevie Y. Larky. We jumped on the Zoom. It was a long one. There were some heated words exchanged. The second line center on a Stanley Cup winning team really got to him. So we we landed in a great spot for the organization. But going back to the trades he made, the only thing about the Hronek trade that surprised me was, what the fuck is Vancouver doing?
They're a disgrace.
They can't get out of their own way. They can't get out of their own way. But Detroit, I think those 2 losses to Ottawa was legit the time he's like, I'm jumping off. And that's what St. Louis did with the guys that they ended up getting rid of. But the one thing about St. Louis, what they did well, is the other guys that they ended up taking over too. I mean, Kapanen scored in both games. I've been riding this kid all year, but they're giving other guys opportunity. Vrana, another one. He was set to be a stud in Washington. They get rid of him. I thought he had a great start when he was in Detroit. Then he got hurt, and then obviously whatever happened at the beginning of the year happened, and they seemed to give up on him. So Army did a great job of unloading old assets where this wasn't going to be the answer, stocked up young on low-risk things, and gained all those draft picks. But No, I don't really have much to say about Detroit in like a negative sense of getting rid of everything. I think Stevie Y knows what the fuck he's doing, and he didn't see those guys as helping.
He said after, I was never going to be a buyer. There was no shot I was going to do that. He actually even said, if you look at Ottawa and Buffalo, I think they're ahead of us right now in terms of where they're at. So honesty, the Yzer plan is still looking good, I think. These last few weeks have been tough, and I think he realized, like, why am I going to go out and try to buy? It's the same exact argument I gave to you, Biz, when I told you, and you were ranting and raving about Buffalo having to do something. I'm like, no. The time is not now. Patience. And Yzerman realized they're similar in the fact, like, why are you going to go out and buy? I mean, if you could make little deals here and there, but why are you going to go out and try to make this big move when you know for a fact you're not winning a cup yet? It's just waiting. It's the same way Dorian said, we got to wait. And then this year he sees something, he gets Chychrun. Buffalo and Detroit, they're not there yet, so let's at least move on. The thing is, I want to make
it be known, though, I wasn't saying go out and get a rental. I was saying Buffalo, maybe go get Chychrun, where you got some time left with them, and you could get them to stay. And that's also an area which they need to improve. I would say defense is their weakest asset, maybe other than goaltending, but they have that Levi kid coming. And the other name I said was Vejmelka. Wasn't even sure if he was available because he's got two years left and at a really low number. And I looked at him like a Korpisalo, just this young athletic goalie where it's like, fucking why not? And you got him for 2 more years. So, but totally agree on what you're saying.
Biz, you talked to Hot Rod the other night when you had the TNT show.
He finally talked to him, even though we interviewed him a week before.
I said right before we got on, I said, hey, just to let you know, I slept last night. And he goes, okay, good. He goes, you did a great job of just staying out of the way, though, Biz. And I said, yep, 4th liner, off the glass and out, buddy. That was before we ended up going on. But I asked him, what did I ask him? I asked him about I complimented him on the back end. Most goals by defensemen so far this year in their lineup, leading the league. And then they end up going to add Gostisbehere, where one of the components they needed help on the power play. And in the 2 games that Gostisbehere's played, he's got 4 points, all of which on the PP.
He is a cannon, huh, Biz?
Absolute cannon. He's going to be that 3rd pairing defenseman. So, is he the best defensively? I would say he's average. He also talked about how he had a 45-minute video session. Army brought up this point. I knew that they did it, but I didn't know that they were the only team in the league. They essentially play a man-on-man defense. So even the D-man, they have to follow their forwards all the way up top. If they're up by the blue line, even if they exit the zone, you stay with your fucking guy. Most teams are that defenseman is staying net front, and he's not wandering too far outside the house. So coming from a system that doesn't do that to going to one that does, that's a hard mental adjustment because every time you're in the D zone, you're mentally programmed to go to your areas. This one, it's a free-for-all. And also, talking to Rod, he said it's like you gotta trust your teammates and you gotta have the personnel to be able to do it. So it's been working for them, dude, and they spanked Tampa all over the ice. Did you watch the game, Whit?
No, I didn't. I was watching the Arnold Palmer, but Gostisbehere, you said it perfect. 3rd pair, 14 to 16, 17 minutes, and then power play. And you remember Marc-Andre Bergeron? I think
he played for the Oilers.
He played for the Oilers. He played for Tampa. I think he was on Carolina at one point. I think Gostisbehere is like a better skater, quicker, probably a better player overall, but it's similar to the fact of like power play guy with a cannon and then put him against the 3rd and 4th lines and you can have a pretty valuable player. So good move by Carolina. I still, as if I'm like a Canes diehard, a Caniac, I'm a little upset. And they are looking to prove every single pundit wrong. And Don Waddell stuck to his guns and didn't see anything out there. I know they were in on Meyer, but I don't know. I think this team is sick. You mentioned how good they looked the other day. They've looked that good all year. They've looked that good the past few seasons. And then you get into the playoffs. The Rangers own them. I mean, if the Rangers beat the Devils and get Carolina 2nd round, I think the Rangers will beat them again. And it's just something about the chance to, with the Pacioretty injury, to do something, and this year being the best chance the Canes have to win the Cup, and it's now on those guys. Like, prove everyone wrong that said you needed another stud forward. We don't need him. We're fine. We got the chemistry. We got Brindamore. We got what we think we need to get to the Cup. I think that they should have tried to do something. And I'm not saying they didn't try to do something, but to see the Bruins, the Lightning, the Leafs, the Devils, and the Rangers, the top 5 in the East, along with Carolina, that's six-some of what those teams, the other teams did, and then to have you do nothing besides Gostisbehere. I mean, I guess they got Puljujärvi too. Who knows if Brind'Amour can kind of fix his game? I was a little surprised.
At least they addressed that back end in the power play. They got Slavin back. I don't know, man. After seeing that second line and the way they've been playing, it would have been hard to give up. And who knows what the ask was for Meyer if they had to go out and do a big move. Like maybe it's another guy out of the lineup. Watching their full team play and how they work as a 5-man unit, the way they pressure the puck in all zones, I don't know, man. I'm okay with this lineup. I would consider them top 3 for one of my bandwagon teams too.
I really thought too that we'd end up, Max Domi, 2 goals, beats the Bruins in Game 7. Thought he might be going back there. I don't know if they looked into it. Dallas ends up grabbing him, but I mean, just that, remembering what he did in Game 7 of the first round, I thought that he'd end up back there.
And he's been playing center most of the year on that Chicago team, where I was worried about the second line center position, but I don't know, man. This team looks really good, and I agree. It's kind of like Tampa. You got to see what you get in playoffs.
They might also be looking at Kotkaniemi and seeing kind of something going like this uphill. He had 5 points Sunday, so maybe it's Brind'Amour and Waddell talking like, no, I think these next few weeks, I think you're going to see even better out of Jesper,
ramping it up,
and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, the market's weird. Like there's no consistency. Like one guy's getting 2 picks for this, a guy who's worse than him gets 3 picks. You know what I mean? Like usually it's kind of some sort of consistency between picks, players, and assets. It's off the wall this year. It's crazy. Like, you agree? Like,
yeah, I mean, look at what Yzerman got for Philippe Hronek.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's just Vancouver. Just
a lot of head scratching. Your old team, the Penguins, they picked up a few guys for a little help for the playoff push, and hopefully the playoffs as well. They grabbed Mikael Granlund from Nashville for a second in 23. The 31-year-old has 2 more years at $5 million per. They also added Dmitry Kulikov. He's last year of a deal, making $2.25 million. He'll be UFA. Got him from the Ducks. They sent Brock McGinn and a draft pick back to the Ducks. The Ducks are retaining 50% of the deal. And they brought back old pal Nick Bonino, making a little over $2 million. He's going to be unrestricted after this season. It was a 3-team deal with San Jose and Montreal. Of course, he won 2 cups with them back a few years ago. How much does this increase Pittsburgh's chances, if at all?
None. And I actually love Nick Bonino, great guy, BU guy, what a career he's had. Granlund, that move, it's like, I actually think Granlund was Hextall saying, like, I have to do something. But, I mean, 2 more years at $5 million, they didn't even get any salary retained on it either. That just screams to me like I have to make something happen here, so let's go out and get this guy. But, I don't know, older,
underwhelming.
It was just, to me, that Penguins deadline, and what can you do with the cap and the lack of prospects, but it's just a blah.
Yeah,
it's just
underwhelming.
Underwhelming, unfortunate for how that team's looked. They got rid of Bluger. He's in Vegas now. I actually thought with all the chirping we've done with physicality, wasn't he like relatively physical?
Our Army said he was having a tough year.
Oh,
but
really?
But I will say they did address the areas in which they needed to improve. I just don't look at these guys who can move the needle for them. Kulikov's a pretty solid defenseman. I mean, hey, their D's been struggling this year. I don't think that he had a great start, but he's been fizzling out. I don't know if he got
hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt for a little bit. Seems like everybody on their D squad's been injured at one point this year. I won't count them out because they haven't had a full healthy roster for most of the year. And Bonino was a guy who helped them win, where he's good penalty killer, good on the bottom 6, but overall very underwhelming. I think he felt pressure too.
Of all the problems with the Penguins, the biggest one is that Jari can't stay healthy. And they can't get any goaltending if he's not playing. And then he seems to just be in and out with these injuries. It's like, if he gets hot and those guys come in and make a difference, like, I know I said blah, like they're all 3 NHLers. One of them's won 2 cups with the team. So I understand your team's better now than they were before the deadline. So that's a win in a sense, but like, similar to Edmonton, like, you got to get some goaltending.
Could be worse. They could be the team on the other side of the state, Philadelphia Flyers.
Holy fuck.
Did you see that clip? The Rangers, they played the home game. Rangers scored the goal. You would have thought it was MSG. Thousands of fans were stood up. I mean, that's wicked embarrassing that your own bond that happens in. But fans are going nuts, man. I think they might be the angriest fans of the league. Exactly. Chuck Fletcher, worst record for a GM in team history, pretty much capped out. He ended his press conference addressing the dissatisfaction from the fan base and calls for his firing. He said, quote, "The last 2-3 years, there's no question we've been trying to be a competitive team. Clearly, I haven't done that. I haven't done the job." It's like, well, what the fuck are the higher-ups doing? This guy's saying I blew it, and like he's still got his job. I'm not trying to get the guy canned, but clearly his track record is what it is. The fans are revolting. They want Comcast to sell. Just an absolute clusterfuck there right now, Biz.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. It's, he was self-admittedly horrible over the last few years, and a lot of the moves he was making, I was like, oh, gee,
It all started with Ellis. They got Ellis.
And he was hurt the whole year.
And he's never even played. And from there, it's been just an absolute disaster. The fans seem to be most furious about them not moving Van Riemsdyk. Well, according to like Elliott and Marek, I don't even think there was much of a market for him.
Didn't he go over to Detroit?
No,
dude, that ended up falling apart.
Oh,
that was
fuck.
That didn't even go down. I don't know what happened, but
I was at Sportsnet and they announced it. So maybe I never heard that.
Then it came back and.
Oh no!
It's just
he probably didn't get it in time to make matters worse. Hey, fax machine broke.
Oh Jesus!
Like those qualifying offers to Versteeg and Buffalo. Remember Chicago? They still won 2 more cups after, but yeah, Philly right now is just.
That's a tough text to get on the golf course. Hey, Talon, having his post-game pops of the 19th hole. It's like, hey, we never got your qualifying offers. Like,
what the fuck?
Call the assistant up.
Yeah, I don't know what Philly does either. I don't. Yeah. It's just like, knowing Chuck Fletcher, it makes me like Biz said. I feel bad. He's a great guy, and it's just everything he's tried to do is kind of just backfired. And there was rumblings that Kevin Hayes would possibly get traded. I actually heard that Carolina had a deal for him where Philly would eat the remaining 50% on the remainder of his deal, and the owner in Carolina said no. I think Brindamore was down with it, so I don't know if that's definitely true. But just the fact that the fans in Philadelphia, like a proud fan base, the Broad Street Bullies, just the way that entire team has always played and always been in contention for so long, to have it look like it was Madison Square Garden already.
Yeah, brutal.
It was crazy.
I also think there's a bit of comedy at the end with the fact that they traded Lemieux for McEwen, where it's.
I know.
Like, and not to bash it early, but I think that they lost that trade because I think that McEwen's a pretty good fucking player. And not to say Lemieux isn't, but he hasn't been able to figure out how to produce offensively. So to make matters even worse, that's probably at the point where the guy decided to wear the garbage bag, the CVS garbage bag over his head. I don't know if you guys saw that one online.
Oh yeah, I retweeted that because I did it for the Bruins years ago. That's when you know you're desperate, when you wear a bag to the game. I did it right behind the bench. Mike Sullivan was coach. Sturm, Samsonov, Tommy Fitz is right in front of me. Devil's GM. But
why am I not shocked that you're the type of guy who would wear a garbage bag to a sporting event?
Because that was the only way he could hotbox himself in the arena.
Yeah, a shopping bag, not a garbage bag. The brown paper shopping bag,
sorry.
like the unknown comic used to wear. Yeah, who knows? They won a cup a few years later, so maybe it worked.
But I don't even know what to say what Philly does now.
It all started with you, buddy. You were the spark that they needed, R.A. Way to go.
Shit.
Did you get a ring?
Not yet. Maybe I'll get one this year.
No, he stole one.
I went to the game Saturday, though. The place was buzzing, man. It was a great time there. Like you said earlier, with that, the Bees were just dominating them. I want to actually look up the fancy stats after to see how much the Bees dominated the puck possession that game. But good take. I might go to Detroit this week. Go look at Newsy's team.
Well, quickly, they played Kane and the Rangers. I think that the trade broke after we last recorded. It finally went through. The chemistry maybe is not there yet with Panarin. They haven't been able to connect. And how were they live, RA? It looks like the first 2 lines for the Bruins put an absolute wet blanket on that Rangers team.
Kane did nothing. I don't think he had a shot on that. Actually, here it is. 2 games so far. Kane has no points, -4. 6 shots on goal, only 2 versus Boston. Panarin has an assist, -5. 6 shots on goal. They were all versus Otto the game before. He did get 1 shot on it that day. So, I mean, yeah, they're obviously trying to get the chemistry back, but they did nothing out there, man. The Bees were just dusting them out there. So, but let me ask you, how long does it take for guys who hadn't been teammates for a while. To get that sort of chemistry back, does it take like a couple weeks, couple games? Does it depend who it is?
I'll say it's not even a guarantee. I'll say that maybe fans don't really know some of the in-depth parts of being traded. And this is coming from a guy who, like, I was traded after a couple of years Pittsburgh, 1 year Anaheim. I can't describe to you how tough it is going to a new team, no matter who you are. You then take Patrick Kane, and you move this Hall of Fame legend who probably thought he'd be a Blackhawk forever to New York. Okay, it's not just the on ice stuff. It's not the chemistry with Panarin. It's not the new power play. It's not different forechecks. It's the off ice things. And when I say that, I mean, all right, so you get so accustomed to, all right, I get a massage at 11:15 after pregame skate. I sit here on the bus. I'm with these guys for pregame meal. There's like, I'll say hundreds of all these aspects that are your daily routines, game days, practice days, that you just get into this new locker room and you have no clue. Where do I sit on the plane? I know this sounds like elementary school stuff, but it means a lot more than I think fans maybe understand in terms of like of how comfortable you are in your situation. So he has all this success, and all of a sudden he's on a new team with all these expectations in one of the crazier markets with the dumbest fan base maybe in the league. Rangers fans, I'm taking you in the first round against the Devils, big bet. I'm taking you against Carolina in the second round, so don't come after me. But as a fan base, they're so dumb. So who knows how long it'll take them to get on him if he doesn't start scoring. But there's all these different aspects to getting traded that you never even think about. And you think about the on-ice stuff. Well, I think about the trainer who knows where to put your gloves after you get them dried. And I think people will probably say, you sound like the biggest baby. But it's mentally being comfortable and then going to a place you don't know what to do and when to do it. You don't know the pregame handshakes. It's like all these things that just go by the wayside to the normal fan.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Same with Junior. This type of guy who's never been moved, right? He's always been in one place.
He doesn't know anything else. So you have this sensory overload of this new team and the uniforms and the jerseys and the original six in New York City. And then you're trying to figure out like how to get to the practice rink and like stupid shit that I'm going to say, RA, 2 to 3 weeks. I remember getting to Edmonton, and like I said, it's nothing even close to the same.
I think you bought him one more game with Rangers fans.
Yeah, I got him one more
game. Your little speech, you bought him one more. That's about it.
But RA, it's 2 to 3 weeks to just feel normal again. And I still hold down the call that Patrick Kane's going to dominate and be a superstar this season in the playoffs. But I understand completely what's going on in his mind and his body, where you're just like, where the fuck am I right now? So maybe that doesn't make sense to people who haven't played the game, and I hate saying it like that, but there's just all these factors that you'd never think about if you'd really never been through it.
Wow, good stuff. Good answer, Whitworth.
I mean, RA, think about if you don't have your fucking chair and not everything's ready, how fucking crazy you get.
If you had a different bowl that you smoke out of and shit.
I'll definitely start doing multiplication tables in my head with odd numbers or some fucking weird shit like that I do. I know you mentioned the Sabres already got Jordan Greenway earlier, Biz. They got him from Minnie for a second rounder in 23 and a fifth rounder in 24. They also got defenseman Riley Stillman from the Canucks for forward prospects. Josh Bloom, third round pick back in 21. Talking about the Sabres, boys, I think we should probably send it over to TAGE THOMPSON now. Fans have been waiting long enough, yeah?
Sounds good to me.
Chiclets fans, before we go any further, I want to talk to you about Sport Clips. Consider this. Not every hairstylist is created equal. Many stylists don't have much experience cutting men's hair at all, but you don't know until it's too late. At Sport Clips, all stylists undergo specialized training specifically in how to cut and style men's hair, making them not just stylists, but scissor-cutting scholars and fade fanatics. After all, it's not just an average haircut. This is the big leagues we're talking about, and these are hair-cutting professionals. So don't hand your bushy old noggin over to just some anyone with a pair of clippers. Guys, come on. I'm on national television once a week. I can't be having my hair looking like a clown like Wit Dog. Lucky for me, there's a Sport Clips in Atlanta for me to hit up before I head to the studio. Sport Clips takes cutting men's hair to another level, which is why they truly are the pros in men's hair. Now, back to the show.
Superstar TAGE THOMPSON, here he is. Enjoy.
All right, it's time to bring on our guest. This center was taken 26th overall by St. Louis at the 2016 draft. He won a gold medal with the U.S. at the 2017 World Junior Championships. After 2 years at the University of Connecticut, he went pro and made his NHL debut in October of 2017. He was later traded to Buffalo, where he's now in his 5th season as a Sabre and has become a bona fide NHL sniper. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chicles podcast. TAGE Thompson, how's it going, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Man, our pleasure. Our pleasure. So, you guys, things turned around pretty quick in 2 weeks in a playoff spot right now, huh? Well,
yeah.
I think you got bumped out last night, but you're right nipping at the heels.
Yeah, we're right there. The boys are buzzing right now. A lot of energy. City's buzzing too. So it's kind of, we're right there.
So after, the past few years have been a struggle, and not for you, but for the team, but are you noticing this rabid fan base just every game at home getting a little louder, a little crazier? It's kind of what we said before the season. We just hoped you guys would be in the mix come March. Is that crowd really starting to kind of turn out in a different manner throughout these last few weeks or this season overall?
Yeah, I think so. I think early on they're still there, but I think you notice now like the rowdiness is starting to pick up,
Yes,
the energy
Buffalo
level
part of it.
Yeah, exactly. The energy level, I think they can sense that we're right there. We're winning some games right now, and it's been electric in the building. So I think that just gets us that much more, jacked up to make playoffs. And I can't even imagine what the energy level would be like in a playoff atmosphere there.
You guys got a young squad. Are you guys doing a lot of 4 a.m.ers on the chip strip, or are you guys trying to dial it in because you're in this playoff run?
No, the boys are down it in. No Chippewa runs.
You guys run a tight ship there, but it's hard though because you guys got some guys in the law. I know Tuck likes to get after it, and he loves Buffalo, so you guys got to rein him in.
Yeah, I think we pick and choose. Tucky's fine. We have fun for sure, but I think right now is kind of it's the playoff push here, so we're trying to dial it in and just kind of be smart, pick our times.
So do most of your damage
Tuck,
on the road.
I mean, it's like when he came over last year, obviously things changed, and like Eichel finally being gone was probably a weight off everyone's shoulders and a little sense of like, all right, we got some more kind of drive going forward in terms of what we know who's going to be here and who wants to be here. But you guys connected right away. I mean, I think of the game in Columbus this year, your 5-goal game. It just seems like you two right off the bat kind of had a special connection, no?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was one of those things where it's just kind of natural chemistry. I felt like I've always had that chemistry the last couple of years with Skinny, playing with him. He thinks the game so differently, and then just adding Tuck, I think, just adds so much, to our line. I think it gives us so much more time and space. He's so big and fast that it just opens a lot more up for us. When we're in the offensive zone, we just feel like we have a lot more time with it.
Since we're already on the hockey talk, like last year, something obviously clicked. What was it that clicked for you? Because all of a sudden, it's just like you're probably a top 10 player in the league now. What was it? Was it coach's confidence, ice time, line mates?
There's probably not one thing in particular, but I think it's a collection of things. That opportunity from Donnie, I think that's kind of the first time I've really been given a shot to show that I could produce and be put in a situation to score at the NHL level. And then I think it's just kind of been an accumulation of the work that I put in over the long period of time in the pro career and even leading up to that. But once you get that opportunity and you just get some confidence going, and then it just kind of snowballs from there.
I also find you're scoring a lot of your goals from that weak side around the dot area. Are you starting to coin that area much like Ovechkin coins the top of the circle?
I don't know. I like being over there. I feel like I can get lost a little bit on that side of the ice, and I just feel like that's kind of a comfortable spot for me to shoot from. And I feel like when I'm getting the puck on and off my stick quickest, that's usually when I'm having the best success. So for me to get lost in that area and get a one-time rough is something I'm always looking for.
All right, you made a weird face when I said that. Ovi, I mean, you got to start at some point, right? You got Gretzky behind the net in his office. You got Ovi at the top of the circle. This guy on the dot. I like that. I've noticed about like half your goals seem to be scored from that area.
Yeah, he's going to be selling T-shirts with the copyright on
well,
that
that's
area.
where I'm trying to get. Well, he's the fashion guy. I think maybe we could do maybe a clothes collab, because I noticed that Sarah Sivian's always got the top 10 list with most fashionable players, and you're usually hitting it. So who's helping dress you?
I don't know. Probably the Euros. just try to copy them.
You don't have Darlene suit guy, do you? You probably have no money from that contract left over.
I'm sure you guys heard that story, so I don't want to be spending that much on suits.
Tage, we like to go back to the beginning when guys come on the show, and your dad played in the NHL, played pro for quite a while. You had kind of a nomadic upbringing. You kind of bounced around all over the country a little bit, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every couple of years we were picking up and moving. But that's just something I think, that's helped me with the pro lifestyle is you just got to be able to pick up and go whenever. I think, he played 15 years and now he's into coaching. So the picking up and moving was something that's just kind of been second nature to me.
So for people who don't know, your dad, Brent, I played against him the lockout year. I think was he in Providence probably? But when we talk about players being like their dad, I'm gonna say you're nothing like him. The guy was a straight up killer. No offense to you, but constantly over 250, 300 PIMs. Was he kind of always like almost against you fighting and being that type of player? What was it like? I mean, in terms of being raised by a guy who was a straight up killer as he played.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, I think obviously he knew that my brother and him were not much like him in terms of playing style. I think obviously we're both forwards too, and I think from a young age he saw that we were both had an knack for scoring goals and we're pretty skilled, and it's not our game, fighting or whatever, but I think it's always something that he's tried to help us with and try to add to our game. I think fighting's not really as prominent as it was back in the day, but I think it's still useful and something you need to be able to do. So something I'm trying to work on with him. I just don't have that killer instinct that he does. He's got some screws loose in the head, so I don't think I have that.
Already mentioned going back to the beginning, and what's cool about you as a player, at least from what I've followed, is it's truly been kind of a marathon, not a sprint for you. And I'm just wondering, as you were little, talking like 13, 14 years old, even before you went to the national program, were you always this tall? Did it take you a while to grow into your body? Because I mean, I know you were a first-round pick, but even on the national team, it didn't seem like you were one of the top-end players at 17, 18. Is that how you felt, or was it more that you weren't even getting the chances then that you are now?
No, I think you're right on that. I think going into the program, that was something like brand new for me. I went in obviously the second year, so they'd already been together for a while, and before that, I wasn't always the biggest guy. Actually, I was pretty tall, but not like always the tallest guy where I just towered over everyone growing up.
Really?
I was always just like kind of middle of the pack height and super skinny. So growing up, like just playing hockey, I was always like one of those little skill finesse guys. And that's when I went to the program. That was the year I grew like 4 inches in 1 year. I went into the program, I think like 160, 6'1", and I left it at like 185, 6'4", 6'5".
No shit.
So that whole year was just kind of
that must have been hard
for sure, like going to play with the best in the world at your age, and I'm growing like it felt like couldn't stop growing. So I'd get comfortable in my body for a couple of weeks and then hit another growth spurt and then get comfortable. Feeling super awkward, feel like Bambi on ice, and it was a weird year for sure.
Some of these skills and these tools that we're seeing you on the ice with now, like how much did you siphon from that group? Because you look at that list of players on that team, you got Matthews, Roslovic, Tkachuk, Fisher, McAvoy. Like these are half the team's bona fide NHLers.
Yeah, our team was stacked. I think that's something that helped my game for sure too, like going there and just practicing and playing against them every day. Like in practice, you're competing against these guys, and look at them, the half our team is, just disgusting players in the NHL right now. And I think that's just going to make you a better player. And I think that's something that was huge for me, like especially the year before I was just playing U16 travel hockey. So that was a big year for me.
Where were you the year before you went to Ann Arbor?
I was in Long Island. My dad was the assistant coach there, and I was playing the U16, just junior Islanders, USPHL, like regular U16 travel.
So didn't even really have the opportunity or the invitation to play for the under-17 team like your junior year of high school?
I you know how they have the national camps, you get like selected out of New York State or whatever? Yeah, I didn't even go to that. So
oh shit.
I was actually, when Donnie saw me there at the national camp, I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was like an extra, and someone got hurt and couldn't go. So they asked if I'd still be interested in going. So I was like the last guy in, and they didn't even have my number or name on the roster. So like Donnie was there watching. He's like, "Who is this kid? He's not even on the roster."
How did you settle on UConn, decide to go to school there?
Yeah, it was, so I knew I wanted to play college hockey. My dad was kind of, I wouldn't say against me going major junior, but I think we kind of all knew I was one of those guys that was going to need some more time to develop and just get stronger and bigger. And I think college was probably the best route for me. And then I wanted to stay Hockey East. So I toured most of the Hockey East schools. And then UConn was actually like the last one to like offer me a tour. So I was like, I don't really know much about them. Kind of just gave them a courtesy. I'll go on the tour, and just got to the campus, fell in love with the campus, fell in love with the coaching staff. And I think the biggest thing for me, why I went there is just because it was going to be my draft year that year. And I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to play a ton and get a big opportunity to kind of show what I do, especially leaving the program, not really being able to showcase what I could do there, kind of being lower on the totem pole in terms of, skill and guys there. I wanted to show that I could play and kind of go somewhere where I wasn't gonna, have to play third, fourth line and not be able to showcase stuff. So
and the head coach there, Mike Cavanaugh, he was a longtime assistant at Boston College when I played at BU, and I know your agent Jerry Buckley, his brother, who's now at BC, Brendan, he was the assistant coach at UConn. So I'm guessing that maybe had something to do with it. Were you already signed on with Jerry Buckley as your financial advisor at that point?
Yeah, I actually had Brendan at the time, and then Brendan got the job at UConn, so I switched over to Jerry.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so it kind of worked out like that. But yeah, that's kind of a big reason too, just the comfortability of, I knew who was there in terms of coaching staff, felt comfortable with Cavanaugh, and just felt like it was going to be a good fit for me. So
Tage, when you decided to go pro, is that more of St. Louis kind of pushing you toward that, or was it strictly your decision? How did that play out?
Yeah, I think it was more St. Louis. I think they came to me and towards the end of the year, end of my sophomore year, they said, "Hey, we're going to pull you out if you're comfortable with that." And I mean, I was excited for it. I think looking back, I probably could have used another year at college. Definitely wouldn't have hurt. But I think just the excitement of, being able to try to turn pro and make your NHL dream come true, I think was too exciting for me to turn down.
Money's not too shabby either.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're just there for kind of 1 year, and then did you have any idea you were going to be traded? Obviously, you end up being the biggest part of that move, and it definitely worked out for St. Louis with O'Reilly. But were you excited? Were you nervous? Did you hear rumblings leading up to the trade? Kind of how did that first pro trade come about for you?
No, it was crazy. I didn't see it coming at all, actually. So I had just finished playing in the World Championships that summer, and I think Mike Yeo was there. There's a few other guys from St. Louis's staff that were there, and they basically told me "Hey, we got some big plans for you next year. You're going to get some opportunity. I'm excited. Be ready," basically. So I finished that World Championships, excited, going back in, "Hey, I'm going back into St. Louis. I'm going to get a shot here." And got a missed call from Doug Armstrong. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of weird." And just basically told me, "Hey, we had an opportunity to get Ryan O'Reilly. We took it, and you're one of the pieces in that trade, so you're going to Buffalo." And it was that. So kind of a shock, and it was like, what's going on here? I didn't really expect that, but so many emotions going on, right? Kind of sad, disappointed. I thought I was going to be in St. Louis for a long time and be a big piece there. But then at the same time, you're excited. You're going to get a new opportunity, fresh start. So kind of one of those things where it's kind of, a little bittersweet.
Did you shrug it off pretty quick? Or was it something that maybe lingered a little bit where maybe there was some self-doubt that crept in?
I think it was one of those things I tried to shrug off pretty quick, but it was kind of tough too. There's so much outside talk, and especially the following year, he goes and wins the cup there, and gets MVP. So it's you try to block out that stuff, but you can't really. It's everywhere you look. So you just try to focus on the things you can control. And for me, that was just kind of showing up each day, trying to get better. I knew there was a lot of talk from the fan base on where I was at in my development. Is this gonna trade pan out or whatever? But I had confidence that it was, and that it was going to just take a little bit of time. And like I said, just focus on things that I can control and let the chips fall where they may.
That's so difficult, though, because I look back on how maybe I would have wanted to handle things differently and change my mindset in the moment. Were there any veterans or leaders or any people that you could lean on during that time when maybe those thoughts kept lingering in? We've had Nathan McKinnon on. He talked about working with a sports psychologist to help his game. I mean, obviously you had your father, I'm sure, to lean on. Like, who were the people and influences in your life where you were able to finally break through and lean on?
Yeah, I think the biggest one was my dad. Obviously, he played for a long time and he went through it. I think it's just kind of him reaffirming, like, hey, you're a good player. It's going to work out for you. Just keep putting in the work. Things will change. And you're going to get an opportunity. Just make sure you're ready for it. So that was kind of one of those things where I tried not to focus too hard on where I was in the lineup or whether I was in the lineup or not. Just try to go to the rink every day, put my head down, do my work, and get better. And then when the opportunity arrived, then I knew I was going to be ready for it. And that's kind of, I think, where Donnie takes over and gives me that shot. And now things are going the way they are.
Well, that's funny because you knew Donnie way back, I guess. But you know, you get to Buffalo. It's Phil Housley, I believe, and then Ralph Kruger comes in. I love Ralph as a guy. I don't know, how you guys got along or anything, but now Donnie's here. It must have been difficult, not only with what was going on in Buffalo and losing games, but all, having different coaches. That must have been somewhat of a struggle and probably a relief now to have a guy who's been there, and you have a system kind of cemented in place, right?
For sure. And I think that was a big thing too, is like those seasons I didn't have anyone who really knew my game. Like I hadn't really been able to show what kind of player I was to these coaches, and then I feel like they'd get a little bit of an idea of what kind of player I was, and then they were gone the next year, and then I'd have to kind of prove myself or show them who I was all over again. So it was nice when Donnie came in that we already had that familiarity from the program where he knew what kind of player I was, he knew the potential that I had, and he had that belief in me from a young age when I was back there. So to get him to take over, I think I probably wouldn't have gotten the opportunity I did had I had a different coach. So I think a lot of that credit goes to Donnie for giving me that opportunity and that trust. So I think that was definitely a tough thing. Trying to show yourself to a new coach every year is not fun.
Is that how you address him? You call him, hey, Donnie. Is that what you say to him? Or you used to call him Coach? How do the
Donnie
boys call
Meatballs.
him in the locker room? You call him Donnie Meatballs in the locker room?
No, that's his nickname. It's been gaining some traction. I just call him Donnie.
Hey, Meatball.
Another t-shirt,
Am I
Biz.
going here? Am I playing PP1? Am I going?
Get me on the
Donnie.
ice, meatballs.
Come on, Meatball. Wake the fuck up. What are you doing back there? Hey, he seems like a player's coach. I think the biggest thing that Tuck stressed was how he doesn't harp on you guys when you try to make plays at the line, and let's say it were to get turned over. There are obviously some lessons to be learned, maybe with game management and puck management at certain times. But did you feel like the leash was very long for all you skill guys and being able to just kind of freelance and play the way that you guys want to play?
For sure. He coaches the same way he did at the program. Very like high flying offense. If you're going to make a mistake, at least make it hard. Track hard, as long as you're trying, on the defensive side of things, and you're working hard. He doesn't really care what you do. He wants you to use your skill, and that long leash was something that a lot of our guys weren't really used to. So I think that's kind of why you see a lot of the skill coming back out. Like guys like Jeff Skinner, like he has 2 seasons where he's not putting up the goals he's used to, and then Donnie takes over again and he's playing the game he's capable of playing. And I think you see that with a lot of our young guys, just letting us play. And if you make mistakes and turn it over, it's all right, learn from it. But I think that long leash is good. Obviously, you got to be a little smart with the puck, and especially where we're at now in the season. And these are some critical points. But I think we've got a good mix of some older guys like Oki that kind of rein us back in a little bit here when we get a little bit too careless. So it's a pretty good balance that we got right now.
Does Donnie Meatballs ever have a snap show in the locker room? He seems like he's pretty calm.
He's pretty chill. We don't really have anyone that snaps. I think Oki's kind of the bad guy, I guess, if you will, that has to yell. But he even doesn't really do it too much. I think we got a pretty positive group all around, and I think we do a pretty good job of self-reflection. We know when we're not playing the way we need to, and I think the guys take it to heart, and we're pretty good at turning it around. So we don't really have anyone that snaps.
Tage, the first couple of years when you had that coaching carousel, does that start to take a toll on the team in the locker room when it's just that much turnover and you can't really get any stability?
Yeah, I think so. It's tough. Like just getting that familiarity, I think, is so crucial. I mean, even coming into this season, we had Donnie for the last half of the last season or whatever, and our full season last year and then the last half of the season before. And coming into this season, training camp, you already know what to expect. I mean, before that, we had no idea what to expect for training camp, what the practices were going to be like anything with the system, learning new systems. So it just makes you think less on the ice. You just can go and play your game. So I think it's nice just not having that constant rotation.
Do you think that Donnie Meatballs looks a little bit like the teacher from South Park, Mr. Mackey? Okay.
I do, yeah.
You guys ever joke around?
I haven't thought of that before, but I think he does.
Maybe every time after he says like stuff pregame, you guys could just follow up with the okay. Maybe make that
make a t-shirt maybe.
Hey, if you sign off on it, buddy, if you'll promote it, maybe we'll get you on a big deal brewing sponsorship too with you and Buffalo and all those mutants in the crowd drinking those draft beers. What do they call them? Crack beers in Boston, Whit?
Well, yeah, any draft beer, it's just, I don't know if the pipes get cleaned. All of a sudden you have 3 of them and it's like having 10, you're waffles. And Buffalo people have 10 before the game anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
When you first got to Buffalo, did you have any buddies in the locker room, or was it mostly strangers in there?
Yeah, I don't think I knew anybody besides, obviously I got traded with Berglund and Saboka, so I knew them a little bit coming in. But I think we had Dolls came in the same year I was, and Mitzi were probably the 2 closest guys that I hung out with my first couple of years. I actually lived with both of them my first year, so those are kind of the guys I hung out with the first couple of years.
I think by the time you went to the program for under 18, you'd been at 9 different schools. So like, I mean, I know you probably got used to it I know at a certain point you probably got used to it, but did it fuck you up at a younger age to be moving around that much?
No, not really. I mean, I think I was so used to it, I didn't really know anything any different. You know, I think the longest place I stayed was Illinois for 4 years, maybe. I feel like every 2 or 3 years we were moving, so that's really all I knew. And I had my brother who's like a year and a half apart from me, so we're pretty close. And I think every time you move to, like, we had a new hockey team we were going to, so you automatically have 20 new friends. So like, it wasn't really an issue, you know. But I enjoyed it, honestly, getting to experience new cities and make new friends I kind of still keep in touch with here. So I think it was good for me.
You guys got that pedigree. Your brother Tice, who's a New Jersey Devils prospect as well.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody who mentioned that, you know, and you just told us, right? You had the growth spurt at USA, then you have the early trade in pro, and then finally you're lighting up the AHL in 1920. You get called up, and I think you blew out your shoulder. Was it one of the first games? And had to get. Oh my God! So take me through. So take me through. Like, are you just? Was it a fluke hit? Was it something? But there had to be some frustration and self-doubt. All of a sudden, you're like, oh my God! Now I got to go through surgery and rehab. Like, how did that injury hell happen?
Yeah. So I had finished the season. I think it was my first season. I finished up in Rochester. Made a little playoff push. Got bounced in the first round by the Marlies, and then the next season I started in Roch. They told me I was going down to Roch. And I was confident in my game, was playing good hockey. I'd finished up playing the year before in Roch, felt like my game was good. Started off hot in Roch. We had a 3-3, I think it was with Utica. We had a 3-3 and we were driving back and they're like, hey, you got the call up, you're going to play in Chicago. So I was playing a 4-4.
Oh.
So I flew to Chicago, played, I don't know how much ice time. I was maybe 9 minutes, and then I didn't touch the ice for almost the whole third. And then I got the graveyard shift.
That's when it happened?
2 minutes left in the game or something. I just chipped the puck in. Harmless rub out. Olimata rubbing me out in the corner. My arm gets stuck like above my head. Rubs it out, pops out. Oh. And I knew right then, I was like, I just messed up bad. Like, probably should have just changed and not gone in on the forecheck. But
like, I'm trying to get an extra minute here, though.
That's what you call that?
The extra minutes, and then
the graveyard shift?
Got surgery, and well, actually, we tried to rehab it for like I think 2 months, and it wasn't doing any better. So we just went ahead and did the surgery. But yeah, that was a tough one, especially feeling confident about your game. You just get the call up, and then you get the season-ending injury is not an easy one to hear. So that sucked. But it was honestly, if I look back at it, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I was still so skinny and weak, and that gave me such a big opportunity. All I did was work out every single day, legs, with our strength guys in Buffalo. So I got big. I put on like a ton of weight. I was 225, felt super strong. So that actually gave me a ton of confidence, just, you know, getting that mass and that size that I probably needed. But yeah, that was a tough injury for sure.
It's funny because you say, like, at the time, probably the lowest moment of your career, like, I'm lighting up the AHL, and then you look back and in the end, maybe it wasn't a bad thing. It's funny how things work out like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Shodo doesn't hurt either.
Oh,
IR. Come on.
Yeah. I had Carter Hutton here, and he was always like telling me, he's like, you're following in the right footsteps, just fake injuries and collect. He's a funny guy.
Just throwing him under the bus.
No, he's always chirping. He's a great guy. But yeah, that was funny.
You seem like a modest guy who wouldn't go crazy on the spending, but after getting your big ticket, was there something that you treated yourself with? I mean, I'm sure the suit budget went up where you could hire Darlene's guy, but what did you get? Did you go get a car? Or?
Yeah, I went and got a truck. I got the TRX.
Perfect
you
for
cranking
Buffalo.
country tunes in there?
Absolutely, yeah.
Who's your guy?
I'm more like 80s, 90s. I like George Strait, like the kind of old school country. So that's kind of what I rock to.
That seems like a Brent Thompson special, just growing up on that stuff.
Yeah, that's that and classic rock.
There we go. Now you're talking.
Yeah.
We talked to your teammate, Rasmus Dahlin, down at the All-Star game. He seems like a pretty charismatic guy. Is he one of the bigger personalities in the locker room?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's definitely broken out of his shell a lot since the first 2 years. And it could have been a language barrier thing too. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's always energetic in the locker room. Always cracking jokes, chirping guys. So I think it's not just like one or two guys. I think we have pretty much everyone who's pretty good at giving it out and taking it. So it's a fun locker room, man. It's a lot of fun to be a part of, and I think you just see so many different personalities that blend so well together.
He said that you were the court jester.
Yeah.
He said that you're the one leading the ring.
He said you're chirping. You're chirping nonstop.
I just try to give it back. I think if I'm being honest, I think Jeff's probably the biggest pot stirrer in the locker room. He probably starts the most stuff. But I like to join in on it for sure.
He's got this internet content series that just came out. What's the name of it? Between Two Stalls?
Two Stalls, yeah. It's a little spin-off of Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah. Yeah. When are you on it? You haven't been on it yet, right?
Yeah, I was on it.
Oh, were you? Okay, I must have missed that one. I think I saw somebody else.
Came out a couple of days ago, but he's rattling them off now. I think he's got like 3 or 4 other guys that have been on it, so they're good. He's
going to have a Netflix special.
Like, he does all of his own, like he writes all the jokes. He comes up with all the material, so it's pretty good stuff.
Have you ever talked with him about, you mentioned the 2 years where he struggled and, everyone's bringing up the contract, and you just, as a former player, I feel for guys going through that. Has he ever talked to you about the low moments and what was going on and how much better it is now with how he's playing?
We haven't really talked about it, since it's happened, but I think we kind of went through it together. That those 2 years that were tough for him, that was kind of 2 of the years where I was still trying to find my way too, and we were doing a couple healthy scratch skates together, and I know his confidence wasn't where it probably should have been, and I think that was the biggest thing, was just the opportunity again. Like, you take a guy like that who's used to scoring 30 every year and put him on the fourth line, no power play time, they're not going to score, so getting that opportunity again from Donnie, and I think he scores a couple and then the confidence comes back. It's good to see. I love playing with that guy, so it's been a lot of fun.
When we were talking to Darlene, we talked about how close the group was. Of course, so many young guys. You guys are going out to dinner, like 15 guys deep. But in order to truly change the culture and turn your guys selves into a winning team, potentially Stanley Cup team, who's the guy really driving the work ethic? Like in the gym after practice every day, getting on the ice 30 minutes early. Like who's like, because you talk to McKinnon, you could tell he's type A like that. You see Sid very similar like that, where he's the first guy in line in practice. Who are the guys really driving this team and to head it in the right direction?
Yeah, I think the first guy you look at is probably Oki. I think just a true professional. Guy does the right things every single day. And then I think if you look at a young guy, you see Dolls, and he's always the first one on the ice. He's always looking to get better. I mean, the guy's probably one of the most skilled guys I've ever seen in my life, one of the best defensemen in the world, and he's out there 30 minutes before practice, working on things, doing video every day. He's just got that hunger to get better, and I think that's what makes him so good, is how competitive he is. He's not comfortable or satisfied with where he's at. He always wants to get better, and I think for young guys to see that, just him leading by example. He's not a guy that really talks a lot or says things. He just kind of leads by example and goes about his business. And I think all the young guys see that and say, well, if this first overall pick is doing this, and that's something I should be doing. So I think that's kind of someone that a lot of our guys look towards.
Do you keep track of the league on a daily basis? Like a fan of the league? I know some guys are, some guys don't pay much attention. What about you?
I wasn't prior to like after break, and now that we're so close, I've been watching a lot more. I honestly, during the season, I don't really watch too much hockey, but I have recently just kind of see where other teams are at, what they're doing. But before that, I try to get a little break from hockey. You know, when you're at home, I don't really. I'm a big movie guy. I love watching movies, TV shows.
Oh, here we go. You and RA, I'll be going another 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Should we log off, Whit?
See you later.
What are you watching? What gets you going these days? Yellowstone? You a big?
I was into Yellowstone for a little bit, yeah. But I'm more of a movie guy. I could watch, I could watch the same movie over and over again. Just like chilling on the couch, putting on a movie for a couple hours and just chilling.
What's in your rotation like Shawshank? Which one are you going over and over all the time?
All three Hangovers and Step Brothers on repeat. Think for like thrillers like Shutter Island. I love that one.
With Leo?
Primal Fear.
Yeah. Is Shutter Island with Leo?
Yeah.
Buddy, that was the worst movie I ever saw. I never even finished it.
That's one of the worst takes I've ever heard.
I feel like it was a complete ripoff of the
you're
one
alone on that one.
Did Shutter Island come out before the other one where it was the dream within the dream within the dream, the Inception?
Yeah, Shutter Island before Inception.
I think Shutter Island came out first.
Yeah.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I thought Shutter Island was an absolute.
Even finish Shutter Island,
buddy. Wasn't it a dream within a dream?
No.
Kind of. No. Maybe I'm off base.
You gotta go back and watch Shutter Island. You gotta watch.
All right, I'll give it a chance because of you, buddy. But that's about it. What do you make of Leo dating these young girls? No, Tay, we're getting off topic now. We've talked enough hockey. What do you make of Leo dating all these 21-year-olds?
I don't know, man. Like, I would say good for him, but now it's getting a little weird.
That's a good middle of the road take. Hey, I like the off topic stuff. So what other things besides movies are you into? What takes your focus off of hockey? What are your hobbies?
Yeah, or in the summer, what do you get into?
Oh, golf in the summer as much as I can. Right now, there's not much to do in Buffalo on an off day, so I used to be a big Xbox guy. I used to play video games with the guys, but I got a kid now, so that's cuts into the time a little bit. So I haven't touched a video game in over a year, but I don't know. I play guitar a little bit. I'm terrible at it, but something to kill the time.
Go grab it. Let's play a little tune for the Buffalo fans. No, seriously. I'll sing because me and Hank have a band together.
Yeah, he's used to Lundqvist strumming them though. It's not exactly going to be the same.
Yeah, I bet you that's a little better than me. I can play like a few chords. That's it. So
that's it. That's all we need. Go grab it. Come on, man. The fucking Buffalo fans will be stroking themselves off to hearing you play. They're going to think it's John Mayer.
I don't want that.
Okay. All right.
I don't want that.
Did you see Top Gun Maverick?
I did. Yeah, it was a good one.
Think?
It was really good.
Yeah, it was better than the first one.
I thought so too, actually.
I actually went out for an extra in Shutter Island, but I didn't make the call.
Oh, RA.
Yeah. RA's a famous actor. I don't know if you knew he was in the town.
Did you actually get offered to go on Shutter Island?
Yeah. They filmed it local.
Is that when you didn't fit into the costume or something?
Yep. Martin Scorsese, so particular about like the costumes. It didn't matter what the person looked like. They didn't have a 16.5 to fit me, so they picked somebody else strictly because the collar was a little bit big on me. It didn't matter what you looked like, how tall you were. That's how particular he was. Like one of the guys fit better, so I got gassed.
That was like the day you blew out your shoulder was the day RA got gassed for having too big of a neck. That's where you guys are very similar in that. Oh, just about Buffalo, because I look up and down the roster and like so many young studs coming in. Quinn looks good right now, but then Cousins, he's the one guy, and then you see him sign the deal. Probably see some truly great things in his future, huh? Almost like he's going to keep getting better and better.
100%, yeah. Cuzzy, I mean, Quinny too. Quinny's a great player, but you talking about Cuzzy, like, I think that we stole him for that number. Like, this guy's he's a stud. Like, he's gonna be a player. I mean, he already is. Like, look at the numbers. He's putting up some unbelievable numbers. He's already at 23 goals or 24 goals in his second year. So I mean, he's a good player, and he's got that bite to his game too. Like, he's a playoff hockey player.
Yeah, he's got a little meanness to him.
Yeah, he does.
Did you go back up to Kevin Adams' office after you signed yours, like maybe a couple months after, and say, hey, maybe we could renegotiate that one? Maybe do a
style?
redo? Do a mulligan?
No, I didn't.
The old breakfast ball? First big catch. Come on, Kev.
It worked out. Glad I signed it when I did.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Guy that's just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us?
Why didn't I get the invite to the what's the golf tourney you guys do?
Hey, that's on Okie.
That
You're
in
talking about
Scottsdale?
him as your leader. He picked Molson.
Do you guys do that in Scottsdale?
We just did one. It was the worst experience
Anytime,
of our
anywhere,
lives.
any place, buddy. Anytime, anywhere, any place. We just did.
Who would you take?
Fiala. Yeah, who would be your guy?
Middlestat.
Oh, shit.
Okay. All right.
So you're in Scottsdale all summer?
For most of it, well, just outside. I'm in Peoria, so a little bit west. But yeah, I'm there for basically the whole summer.
You train with like Matthews and stuff?
Skate with him, yeah. I work out at Exos. My brother and a couple other guys. I don't really know what Matthews does for workouts there, but we got a pretty good skate there. A lot of good guys, so it's been good.
The Exos on Rose Garden, and that's where I used to train. I should get back in the gym with you boys. Maybe you got a spot in the lineup for me. Maybe I can get a deal with all that money they saved on you.
The sixth spot. And there's some absolute mutants there. Some of these football guys.
What do you make to everybody comparing you to the next Mario Lemieux? Did you hear all those headlines? Witt was doing it.
That's a
I
crazy.
think that tweet has 20,000 likes, by the way. Someone put a highlight clip of you, and I think the best one is the between the legs off the wall where you didn't even score at the end of the rush. But yeah, you're getting called like Mario Jr. That's got to be a little nice, no?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels nice, but I don't know. I don't know if I like it unless I have 8 seasons of 200 plus points a season and a couple Stanley Cups. I don't think.
All right, fair enough. We'll wait till next year to really drop the bomb in the new T-shirt. Well, actually, that brings me to a decent question in my mind, is that everyone I've talked to has told me, like, you're super driven, super professional, team-first guy. Have you given yourself any thought about 100 points this year? I mean, you got 24 games, you're 21 points away. It's like, it's been a truly, like, rise to superstardom this year. Have you thought about that, or is it all about playoffs and team?
It's both. I mean, I think first and foremost, I want to win. I think everyone on our team wants to win and make playoffs and get a good push there, but it is something that's come up. Like, I don't think, obviously, I've never even been remotely close to that. So to be able to kind of have a chance at it is something that I'm hungry for and something I would love to achieve.
Love that.
All right. Well, you guys all want to wrap? Any more
Yeah, no,
questions,
we
boys?
appreciate it, buddy. It's we now have a sandbagger with 2 Americans, Biz, Middlestat and TAGE Thompson, coming to you this summer. And
I would love that.
It's unfortunate we're going to have to pound you, but we're looking forward to Buffalo getting in. I think you guys have games in hand. It's a really fun team to watch. We've all hoped that you guys are the team to get in. So thanks for joining the show, and congrats on all the success, because it does look like you've been through a lot, and even being a first-round pick, there's been some highs and lows. So it's cool to see what's happened now. So congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Good luck the rest of the year, Tage.
Thank you.
Attention, Massachusetts residents. That's anyone from Massachusetts listening. The Barstool Sportsbook will be live Friday, March 10th. That's right. Time to get in on the action. Use code MALIVE, one word, MALIVE, when signing up to receive a $100 early sign-up offer. Get $50 bonus cash and $50 My Cash on launch day. Once again, that is code MALIVE when signing up to receive a $100 early sign-up offer. Must be 21 plus. If you or a loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Get set before you bet. Talk to GameSense first. Live chat at GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234.
Huge thanks to Tage Thompson for jumping on us. Awesome interview we did a couple weeks ago. Nice kid, man. What a fucking trajectory, huh, Biz? 8 goals up to 38, tearing it up this year. Love to watch these superstars.
I regret not asking him what he took in college. Did we ask him what his subjects were?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know.
You know, you always look back on the interview regretting you didn't ask one thing. I wish we would ask him more about college. Well, we'll get him
I
next
look
time.
back on interviews and regret like 10 things every time. But
Open my fucking mouth. Biz, your boys made a couple additions.
Yeah.
Kyle Dubas, the Leafs, they got to win at least a round to save his job. He doesn't have a deal next year. He didn't really trade too many draft picks earlier, but he sent Rasmus Sandin down to the Capitals in exchange for Eric Gustafsson, a little bit cheaper. Pick was involved also. And he got Luke Shen from Vancouver. He's making $850,000. He's going to be UFA. Back to Toronto, where he was selected first-round pick back in 2008. Ryan O'Reilly, he's going to be out for a bit. He took a puck off the hand, broke a finger. He's going to be on LTIR for a bit. But what about those two moves, Biz? Bringing a couple
at least
defensemen.
It's a finger because you can stay in shape. You can ride the bike. You can skate. Like, that's the biggest thing, right? Keeping your conditioning. If it was playoffs, he'd probably be playing with it like Kadri, right? You get the thing shot up and you go. So thank God it's nothing like too serious. I think we can all agree they got tougher. And looking at their first-round opponent, they got a pretty tough team. They got a really strong bottom six. They got some D-men that can throw the weight around. So a lot of moves. So sometimes with all these new faces in the lineup, it could take some adjusting. You mentioned just like Kane, very similar. We're like, holy fuck, there's a lot of new guys in and out. I like that McCabe, another tough presence. Obviously, Luke Shen. It would have been nice if they could have gone out and got an Ekholm. I think that would have helped me be a little bit more confident about the goaltending. I'm gonna trust that he's made the right call on goaltending. But overall, top to bottom, I think a great job by Dubas to get who he got at the deadline. And I think looking at the way Tampa's playing right now, I'm very confident about the first round. And overall, that's all I can say. That's all I can say about the Leafs right now. I'm happy with the moves. The one thing that does concern me, and it seems like Liljegren surpassed Sandin from an overall play perspective, where even with the puck handling ability, the way he's able to work in the offense and how they have that 5-man offense where the D will swoop in and be a part of it. Sandin wasn't getting the reps that I think that he wanted. From my understanding, there might have been a little bit of negativity surrounding that, where he's the type of guy that likes to bark about it, where it's, hey, it's kind of like you want to be a little bit more positive and not barking, where maybe he just wasn't good enough to fucking get those minutes. They move on from that, where they're not going to need that, obviously, for what he was doing for the lineup. They valued that toughness, that McCabe, the more solid, harder to play in front of the net. So my only concern would be sometimes that does fuck things up, where I talked about how they like to move around in the offensive zone. Army describes it as ticky-tack hockey, where they get the up-top cycles going. Well, fuck, man, all of a sudden, if you put these D-men that just usually show up to the blue line and they get it and it's like dump it right back around, where that's easy to read throughout, the process of a whole game, yeah, that could fuck things up for everything else. So they got 20 games to figure that out and figure out how that whole fucking cycle works. And I'm still very confident. Do you agree with what I'm talking about? Sometimes you put a little bit more of those meat and potato style defensemen in the lineup, where all of a sudden in the offensive zone, the way they work, it's not as easy, because a lot of their offense comes through getting the D involved.
Yeah, I just think a team like that needs guys who can make good first passes. I like Toronto's team. I really do. I just don't know if the Demons are just going to be too much again this year. I also don't know. Matthews is still, he'd be on pace for over 40, but he doesn't necessarily look like Matthews of last year, and he's kind of been battling injuries on and off. Come playoff time, that's hard to kind of go into it if he hasn't really been healthy at all this season, and he's still this good. But they got better, right? Dubas did a good job. Everyone wanted to do things. They did it, and I do like McCabe's game a lot. But I as I've said a million times, win a round. I can't even talk about Toronto. Are
you happy with Dubas's moves?
Yeah, I am. I think he went out and did as much as he could. That's definitely an upgrade on D when they got rid of Sandin. So Gustafsson moves it better. I think Sandin could actually be as good as Gustafsson, if not better, in a few years, but right now he's not.
You got to hope that he turns into Quinn Hughes. He's just he has to provide offense to like an astronomical level to put up with how weak he is defensively. He gets pushed around too much. He's so small.
Did I see a stat? Quinn Hughes is the fastest defenseman, or maybe American defenseman, to 200 assists or something like that.
Fastest defenseman ever is what I saw.
Holy shit.
Fucking crazy, man. Absolutely bananas.
How do you have three kids that good at hockey? It's fucking crazy.
It's crazy, dude. Genetics. It's such a luck thing, man, Yep.
Fucking
like my brother could skate like the wind. Me, I couldn't fucking stand up on skates. It's just fucking.
Oh, I know. We saw.
Yeah, we seen. Yeah, we
We
certainly
saw
did.
the public skate at the Winter Classic, all right.
Those who can't skate talk about skating.
Those who can't skate play basketball. So you got that going for you.
Those who can't skate or play basketball smoke pot and watch movies on the couch. Couple more moves to get to. Dallas picked up Max Domi from Chicago, making $3 million this year. Is going to be unrestricted. They got Domi and a minor league goalie. You got to Dallas. Dallas sent a second-round pick in 25 and Anton Hudobin up to Chicago. I'm not sure if he was down the minors, so they got to say bye to Dobby. They left him down Dallas. Domi, man, 18 goals, 31 assists for 49 points in 60 games. A pretty good clip. He was up in Chicago. He's still got some good offense to his game. You can kind of plug him, middle six anywhere, you'd say, on that team?
Oh, he could jump up. I think but he's also like not a guy you would want a line match against another team. So yeah, probably second line center. He's been playing center for the first time in his career all year. Like maybe there was like a game or two he would hop in, but he had some sustained amount of time at center ice, and he's been doing well with it. He's used to playing with a skill guy in Kane. So yeah, I mean, Mark Wahlberg's pumped. I don't know if you saw all the videos of him bouncing around down there with the Dallas jersey on. He's familiar with Sagan, so he's got buddies there. So I don't know. They didn't do a crazy amount, but I like the pickup. I like Domi in Dallas.
Winnipeg Jets didn't do a ton either, but they got Nino Niederreiter last week, and they added your boy Vlad Nemestikov this week. They sent the fourth rounder at 25 to San Jose. He's your boy, Biz Nemestikov. What's like the third time he's been dealt on?
He's been on 8 teams in the last 3 years. I think I read on like an Instagram post.
That's a good sign.
You know who's a guy who doesn't get thrown off by having a new routine? That guy.
Yeah,
he's the opposite of Kane, where he fucking used to just not even unzipping his bags. So the first game I think he played in was the game against the Oilers, and he looked great. He's a fast little bugger. He gets up and down the ice, and that offense likes to play with pace. I think that the Niederreiter move's great because he's a big, solid, reliable 200-foot game guy. Another team where it's just hard for them to get guys.
And they're going backwards right now. It's been a tough couple weeks.
Yeah, well, that was a big win against the Oilers, but yeah, they just haven't had as much 5-on-5 offense. That was really the first game they've exploded in a while. They got to get that Perlini back. Is it Perlini? Am I saying it right? He's another little offensive water bug. So
Perfetti?
Perfetti.
You talking about Perfetti?
Did I say Perlini?
That's sorry. That was a player
Perlini
league.
was a guy who played in Arizona. Jesus Christ, smoke another one, Biss. But yeah, they're treading water right now. But it's Anson Carter was talking about it on the Canadian broadcast. Like half the guys who at least decent players in the league have like a 10-team no trade list. They're on every single no trade list. They got to be the highest batting average of no trade list. And that's just being on. I don't know. I love Winnipeg. I don't know. You ever been to Winnipeg? The girls are unbelievable. Most undercover city for women in all of Canada. I will probably have 15, 20 guys tweet me or Instagram DM me saying it's just rocket fest here. I don't know if it's a government town. Same with Victoria, BC. It's a government town, so there's more women. It's like 4-1. So there's just rockets crawling everywhere around Victoria. Why do you think I bought real estate there?
I got chirped by the Edmonton Oilers Twitter the other night. One of my listeners, one of the Twitter guys said, "Hey, how do you rank the Canadian teams with the best chance to win the Cup?" And I got money on Winnipeg, so I put them first. And they do have I'd say the best goalie out of the Canadian teams. I had Edmonton second, and they tripped at me the next day like, "Oh, we saw what you did last night, RA." Because of course Edmonton beat them that night, but then Winnipeg beat them the next night. It's like, see, it all comes out in the wash. I'm not going to rub people's faces in it. Well, maybe the Oilers Twitter, but.
Here's another one. What's going to happen with no, I hear you, Ari. What's going to happen with Dubois? People are already saying that he's already signed with Montreal, basically. Yeah. So like now they can't even keep a guy. So I hope they're able to make playoffs and go on a bit of a run because as you said, it doesn't get any easier. It gets tough sledding with having to keep guys.
All right, defending champ Colorado. They sent the second round pick in 25 to the Caps for Lars Eller. He's in the last year of his deal, making $3.5 million. He'll be unrestricted this summer. Caps are retaining 31% of that deal. It's a nice little pickup for them. Would kind of plug a guy in. He's a little bit of a water bug, can go up and down the lineup, right?
Yeah, for sure. I also think that the scary thing for Colorado is the whole time you've just been mentioning, deadline moves, whatever, we get Landeskog back. It's like making a big trade, but there hasn't been a definite date for when he gets back. I think he's skating, but kind of going on longer than I think Avs fans and Avs media beat writers thought that it would. So maybe I'm wrong, and they plan on him to be out this long. But you got to get that guy in. You want 10 games before playoffs at least. Hopefully 5. Unless you're Peter Forsberg, you missed the whole year, and then you lead the playoffs in scoring. So as long as they get him back, and then Makar's back, but that was his second concussion, I think. For me, it's like when they get healthy and they get going, after Boston, they're number 2. I mean, the team is just so stacked. They have not the exact same roster. I know Kadri's an enormous loss, but they could walk through the West again. So they do got to get Landeskog back, and I know Nieto got brought over there, and it's definitely a little different than last year, but it's still the Avalanche with all these studs. It's like heads up once they get healthy and get going, and they're going now. McKinnon is, after McDavid, been the second best player in the league since January.
Good shit to watch. Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's got one year left this year right now. He's actually RFA though, so they still have his rights this year. He's not totally unrestricted, so it'll be a little tougher to go to Montreal than if to trade for him, presumably. Yeah. Right? Unless they that was
something that I was hearing from other people. Yeah. That might be a rumor boy situation. That might have been going back to the Instagram DM. Some I don't know. Some dude from some crazy Canuck.
Let's see, a couple more here. Jersey added a little bottom 6 depth. They picked up Curtis Lazar from Vancouver for a 4th and 24. And while speaking of the Yotes, they were involved in a brother-for-brother trade. Biz, I don't know if you saw that. They sent Troy Stetcher and Nick Ritchie to Calgary and brought it back. Brett Ritchie and Connor Mackey. I'm sure there's been other brother trades over the years.
No, first time.
Really?
Yeah, first time in NHL history.
I would have bet a dime that friggin' the Sutters probably get traded for each other at a certain point, but no dice. Let's see. We had a goalie fight, a goalie score a goal, and a goalie throw a water bottle off a ref's head in 3 separate games last week. First off, the goalie goal was from Chicago's Piotr Kochetkov. 6 Selly ran all around the ice. The fight was between, Remy Poirier of the Texas Stars and Yaroslav Askarov, Milwaukee Admirals. Pretty good tilt. And then over in Sweden, Casimir Kaskisu, he was over here for a little while. Fucking gunned a water bottle. I don't even know if he was aiming. Doinked it right off the fucking ref's head. He got a 5-game suspension. Hilarious clip if you haven't seen it. But goalies getting themselves in the news this week with some fucking crazy activities.
I have to think he wasn't trying to hit him, and then you're like, oh no, as it's in the air going directly at his head. But what would you think the suspension in the NHL would be if you did that?
15 20 games? Yeah. Yeah, way more. Fucking a lot more than 5.
15 games for that?
Dude, if you threw a water bottle off a ref's dome in the NHL, I think you might get
5
20.
games. Come on. Fucking
I don't know.
5 games.
No, I'm not saying that you necessarily deserve 20. That probably isn't good for the respect
like
referee
3 years
thing.
ago, when every time somebody hit somebody and everybody was fucking crying about it, I would say, like when they were suspending Rafi Torres for clean hits on Hossa. Oh, that'll get you going. I bet you there's 14 people punching the fucking steering wheel in their car right now. I will defend that hit till the end of time.
Let's get that translated into Slovakian just to let the people of Slovakia hear that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck. I don't want to piss off hosts. He'll probably never come back on the podcast.
Jersey also said when Luke Hughes' season is over with Michigan, he's going to join the big club right after his season ends.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the lineup either.
Who texted distraction to the group chat? We have a big group chat, and Posh has been running his fucking mouth. They almost blew one against the Coyotes the other night. He's insufferable. He's worse than Avery. He's worse than Avery.
He really is. Like it's crazy to think I have a good friend and that I hope his team loses just so we can shut him up.
We want to send our best wishes to Chris Snow of the Calgary Flames. He's been battling ALS for the last couple of years. Valiantly as hell, man. He's always out golfing, playing this, playing that, tons of energy, and he had to go to the hospital to get some. Check with the doctors the other day, and Brad Treliving's general manager spoke, and he was pretty emotional about everything that was going on, and he couldn't praise him enough. So, we had Chris on the show a few years back. He's a friend of the program, and Chris, if you're listening, we love you, buddy, and I want to see you get back in that office. Do what you do good. Watch hockey, do the scout, whatever you do, buddy. You're going to get back out there. We'll be pulling for you. And also, Biz, you talked to Fuda earlier. I don't know if you want to talk about Stutzy. Mike Stothers, your former coach.
Yeah, guys, he got some horrible news. He was on the road, and there was something going on, and he needed to get it checked out, and stage 3 cancer. But he's a tough son of a bitch, and I talked to him the other day. He said this thing picked the wrong motherfucker, And I think their Anaheim's coach, I'm drawing a blank here,
Dallas Eakins.
He said, Stutzy's never walked away from any adversity in his life. He's going to battle this sucker. And it was obviously very difficult news. It's been an emotional week here for him. But, as I said, he's going to fight this thing off. And we're all going to be thinking about him. He's been a monumental person in my hockey career, guys. And I get emotional talking about him. So, I love him. I'm wishing him the best, and I love you, Stutsy. So you're gonna beat this motherfucker.
Yeah, he is, and he had a great the clip I saw online. RA's been adamant about this since the podcast began. About if you notice something, go get checked out. And he said he felt a lump in his groin, and probably took him a little too long. A tough motherfucker, a stubborn bastard, and. You go in and it's in his, I think it's his lymph nodes. And so he just mentioned, no matter what, if you see something off, nobody knows your body like yourself. If you see something that doesn't look right or feel right, just go get checked out. And RA always says how stubborn people are in terms of seeing a doctor. But I think Stutzy was pretty cool in that message in terms of doctors know a lot, but they don't know your body the way you do. So if you see anything off, just go get it checked out. Better safe than sorry. And our thoughts are not only with Chris Snow and his wife Kelsey, but with Stutzy and hockey communities as close as you can imagine. And those people mean a lot to a lot of people that are rooting for him and cheering him on and have their back. And life's tough, man. So just stay on your health, stay on your own body, and just beware of things that don't look or feel right.
That's what he said when he addressed the team. One of the first things he said, guys, he goes, trust your body. He goes, you guys know it better than anyone. Anything pops up, go get it checked out. So he's a G.
And one final note here, U.S. Olympian Brianna Decker retired, so we want to wish her congratulations. A terrific player. She got a gold. I forget what year she won the gold. I know a couple silvers as well. Just a dominating player, over a point per game in her career. So enjoy retirement, Brianna. It was a pleasure to watch you play. And I don't know if you boys have any final notes you want to share.
She went on Token CEO, actually, too, last week and kind of talked about her career, what's next for her, coaching, all that. It was a great interview with Erica, so check that out as well.
Hasn't she been on our podcast? I thought we interviewed her at some point.
No, I think we saw her at the All-Star game in St. Louis. Wasn't that it? When the girls were doing the skills?
That was it. We should get her on, too.
I remember talking to Sarah Nurse there. As well, but taking Ryder down to skate and do these things, seeing the amount of girls that play hockey now and how good they are, it's so cool, and it's incredible to see the sport growing. I know at one point it was the fastest growing women's sport was ice hockey in the United States, and Brianna Decker and these girls are part of the reason why. So congratulations on an amazing career. The end of something just is the beginning of another thing. So that's so cool for her to have that career resume and that gold medal forever. So congratulations, because yourself, if you're listening, and all of the successful women's hockey players out there are actually creating another generation to dream of being what you guys are and what you guys have done. So it's awesome to see.
Well said. And she's a spark plug too. She'll come on. She'll let it fly. When did she go on Token CEO?
Last week. Great interview.
Okay.
That about wraps it up. Biz, I'm glad you were able to just take that time to, I could tell it was the biz snapping coming, and you did a good job of calming yourself down. We took a little bit of a break, and it was a fun episode. So I can't wait for next week as always. And now we're in the stretch drive. All teams are final, and we're going to see what every team is made of in this final playoff push. So we appreciate you guys listening as always. Let us know whatever we fucked up on, per usual. And thank you so much for listening. We love you all.